Mm.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woo-hoo!
See, you so do it on
Wendy
purpose.
Go
Why do
Radio
you
is
do that?
live.
You guys know what today is.
Hump day.
Yes, it is hump day. Yes, indeedy. I think I break the record for how many clips, bobby pins, combs, and whatnot I could have in my afro here.
And guess who had to be
So-
reminded to turn the button on?
Yes, turn on the button. And I'm like,
Button.
all right, I'm foostering. I'm being a girl. Shut up. Anyway. Hi, everybody. How you doing? It is hump day, middle of the week. Interesting stuff to talk about today. Brock doesn't often say this. But this morning he said, what? What'd you say? He said, I really like this show.
I do.
He forgets, but we'll remind him.
I
Hey,
do.
Magic 8 Ball.
Is Brock getting fired?
No,
we
I'm
did hit
ready.
90K followers.
I'm telling you, if you guys haven't started watching the shorts,
Please do.
please do. That's how we might actually hit 100,000 before July 4th, which would be the 250th birthday. Well, July, yes. Will be the 250th celebration, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to get 100,000. I predict by then, 10,000 to go. You hold the key, and I believe in you.
I'm going to Gettysburg for the 4th. I'm wondering if they'll do anything special
What do you mean?
for the 250.
Oh, Gettysburg?
Yeah.
Oh, my heavens. I would imagine so, right? I have a lot of like bushy hair going on right now. Sorry. So we'll work around it.
I wonder if they'll shoot off fireworks and
Oh my gosh. Are you kidding? It's going to be giant.
for the first time it's on a Saturday
they're-
since we started.
They're going to do something phenomenal, I think, on the 4th of July. So what's going on, everybody? How are you? Hello. Hi, Stormy Night. Hi, Mama J4. Who can I talk to over here on the comments side? Hi, Demanda. What's up, A Fusco? Hi, Rusty, retired relic. Hi, Nana Shup. Good to see you, sweetheart. I think we were 6 yesterday.
You gotta like the
Hi,
thank
Darius.
God, we're the editor's pick. And
We
it's
are?
one of the small boxes, but
Oh.
I don't know if
Yay.
they gauge
Oh, thanks, KB.
thumbnails, but I really
Metzler.
like the thumbnail this morning.
Yeah, today was pretty slick. Today was, I was thinking about it. What's the title today? And I was like, liar, liar. And I was like, pants for hire. I mean, pants on fire.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. So Fauci. Oh, Tony.
Listen, I'm gonna say this right now. What you and I want is to see perp walks and handcuffs.
It ain't happening.
Ain't happening.
No.
But I will take him being destroyed.
Yes. This
as
is
a win.
This is where we learn that disgraced actually matters.
Yes.
That disgraced moniker actually matters. And that's where we're going to be going with this today. So, hey, Ireland contracting. I'm just going to say it out of the gates. I had a great conversation with Gary this morning. I got to say, all of the people who have hired Ireland contracting, who are like, they're the neatest contractors I've ever had at my house. Agreed 100%. There were tarps all over our property, pieces of shingle and tarp and crap everywhere. Gone. They were fantastic. So tomorrow, I think it gets finished because we have rain today. It is amazing, the process. And to watch the Amish installers, the carpenters that these guys are, phenomenal. Ireland Contracting, if you live in Southwestern Land before time and you have a home exterior renovation project, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. No question. No questions asked, ladies and gentlemen. I can already tell you this is not going to last. All right, I'm getting
Take
fussy.
Tony's retirement checks. At this point, the money's already spent.
We're not getting it back.
But
you know what? Going back in the retrospectroscope, we can absolutely destroy that man's reputation just by telling the truth. Yeah, he has me in a super special slice of fussy today. So I'm reminded that I lost a job, that I was fired because I said to people I was on the fence about what was going on.
How many of you were fired?
How many of you?
Or lost a job?
Give me your story. How many of you quit your job because you wouldn't take the vaccine? How many of you?
So we can read them later.
Give me the comments off of the chat here. I want to see what you say. I want to see what's going on because
I'm pissed.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm fussy. Look out.
Oh boy. I may get fired today.
Whatevs.
Whatevs.
4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at you.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we are converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Well, hello, America. Greetings to all of you all across the beautiful fruited plain. Welcome home and happy hump day. Welcome to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, I give you the website. I give you the app every single day, wendybellradio.com. And I hope you follow us. I hope you join us. I hope you get our app on your phone. I hope you get our podcast. I hope if you hear what we talk about today, that it just makes common sense to you and that you say to yourself, thank goodness. Because I've been wayward. I've been feeling alone. You are most assuredly not. We see the same things. We just have the ability to talk about it. And that's what we're going to do today. Justice. What is justice to you? What does that mean? I want you to chew on that as we open today's program. Thank you very much for being a part of the family. Thank you for being here and welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. You know, I was thinking about it this morning. Justice means something different to everybody, right? Justice to you might mean getting even with somebody who's done you wrong. Justice might mean somebody who's lied for a long time getting caught. Justice might mean an arrest, a criminal indictment, a trial. It might mean handcuffs. It might mean a jail sentence. Or justice might just mean that the truth is actually recorded. The truth. That's all we want. Honestly, when you boil it down, in any situation, would you much rather have the truth over the lies? I would. Absolutely would. And when it comes to people like Tony Fauci, who, by the way, how many of you were impacted by that one individual? How many of you suffered because of something completely idiotic, unscientific, and farcical that the sexiest man in the world dropped on us? How many of you sat back during COVID, as I did, and you were absolutely gobsmacked by how many people you knew drank the Kool-Aid, hook, line, sinker, fell for all of it? No critical thought, no tapping the brakes and being like, wait a minute. We went from being the free, most wonderful place on planet Earth to this tyrannical, dictatorial, emergency operation shutdown. Oh my gosh, in like 4 seconds. And we looked around and we're like, what happened to people? What happened to people? Well, you know what? I like science that is demonstrable, science that is provable, that is backed by people we can trust. And unfortunately, that one guy, Dr. Death, and if that ruffles your feathers, I don't care. Because that man single-handedly, I believe, personally engineered the single most devastating event in modern American history. And I have 5 kids who suffered along with your children. And I'll say to you, it's going to take a lot to make me feel like justice has been served. But Tony Fauci is going to get swept up in a very ugly situation here. This indictment of the guy, his henchman, the guy who was his cleaner, his fixer, his email disappearer. Tony Fauci is named in his indictment. Not named, but it most assuredly is his. And the wheels of that sick bus are going to be falling off soon. I just thought we should all remember, as accountability is coming towards us faster and faster. All about Tony Fauci and his lies. He lied about the lab leak. He lied about gain-of-function research, the riskiest kind of research. He lied about his role in it. He lied all about masks. They never worked. He knew they never worked. He lied about it anyway. And then he doubled down on the lies. Double up your masks or put on a wet one. That makes sense. He lied about the 6 feet of social distancing, made that up, lied about it afterwards. Well, we really didn't know what we were doing, so we just kind of made it up. Are you kidding me? He lied about the deaths from COVID. They changed the rules, parameters on how you should report death. So to gin up the numbers, to freak you out, to get you scared, because when you're scared, you're more malleable. You're more trusting of the experts who, by the way, ought not have been trusted. He lied about children being vectors of disease. Oh no, they're going to kill their grandparents. Remember that? That was a news item for about a week. He lied about the natural origins theory. He lied about the vaccine, what it could do. He lied that it was safe, that it was effective. He lied about pushing for school closures. I didn't do that. Yeah, you did, Tony, and we've got it on audio. He lied about herd immunity and then demonized anybody who thought for themselves. I've already had the virus. Why should I get a vaccine to prevent me from getting the virus I've already gotten? Make sense, Tony. Right? He lied about using our taxpayer money to fund that research. He lied about the wet market. And then he held the proverbial gun to the head of other scientists and researchers. As the keeper of the NIH's grant archives, he held the keys to something to the effect of, $12 billion in research, which is scary as stones to begin with. But then he used that influence to force people to get in line with his lies. And they did. How many signed a letter? Oh, like anybody who signs a letter anymore, is lying. Tony Fauci lied that he personally engineered the single most devastating event in modern American history, which he did. He deliberately lied to mislead the world. Look, what happened as a result of the whole COVID pandemic is individual to you and to me. You saw how your family suffered. You saw your children. Maybe you lost a loved one. Maybe you lost precious time. Maybe this entire controversy, which was based on fake data and lies to get us fighting with each other. How many of you lost relationships with people you loved because they believed the lies of a dirty little man? And then the after effect, forcing all of us to get shots most of us didn't want. People in my life, a child of mine and my husband, had that proverbial gun put to their heads. You can't go to school unless you do this. You can't come back to the hospital until you're vaccinated. When the medical community is either too dumb or too corrupt to tell you the truth, Houston, we have a problem. And this mom is pissed. And I've been pissed for 5 years. I got fired from a job for merely saying, doesn't this all seem extraordinarily odd? You and I weren't allowed to ask questions. Blind obedience. That's called tyranny. That's called a dictatorship. That's called living in a place that has lost its way. And it's all going to come out. Now, look, if you've been with me in this program since the beginning, because we took off after I lost my job for sharing my trepidation and common sense. You know the names today. You're going to understand who Peter Daszak is. You'll remember the name Ralph Barrick. You'll recall who Francis Collins was. You'll know who they are. Many of you are coming to this for the first time. We've been on it. There will be justice. It may not be enough ever, and it won't be. It won't mend those relationships. It won't give our children back years of learning. And it won't put back at the dinner table the people that we lost and shouldn't have. And though I don't believe Tony Fauci will ever be walked in handcuffs, they won't find an orange jumpsuit to fit his size, that he'll never spend a day in prison, I do believe that as you get older and you walk into the twilight of your life and you look back at your legacy and you realize that everyone is on to the fraud and the con that you are, and that next to your name in the World Book Encyclopedia forever says disgraced. That's more punishing than jail. Well, Dr. Death, I know you're out there, not with your $1 million a year security detail, because God knows you need to be protected. We know. The world knows. And we will never forget. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, let's talk about what the FBI did yesterday. A little busy over there at the Department of Justice, a little bit. We're going to give you more of the details of the 20 Leering centers in Minneapolis that have been raided and shut down. Oh, goody, progress. I love it. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Chef IQ. I got the most wonderful message yesterday from a gentleman about Chef IQ. And he said, first of all, I'm sitting down with my family to eat delicious Riverbend Ranch steaks. And I was like, I know, I love them too. And then he's like, and my Chef IQ. The Chef IQ, which is a meat thermometer on steroids. First of all, it syncs to your phone, right? So once you pair it to your phone, you get the app. Takes 2 seconds to get it onto your device. You open up your Chef IQ and you pair your phone with the thermometer, and it's like, okay, you're connected. And then it walks you through a series of steps. What are you making? Where are you making it? How do you like it? How thick is it? how big is it, what have you, right? And then it does it for you. Put it on the grill, put it in the oven, stick it in your slow cooker, whatever it is. It tells you when it's done, and you're not a slave to the grill. You're not outside baking in the summer sun. You are inside with your guests or your family or the people you love, and you're having a good time. That to me is worth it. Sorry, I'm distracted here. chefiq.com/Wendy, or use my promo code Wendy. I have to go double check.
Well, or you could use the
or you
QR
could do that, the
code.
QR code, which is fantastic. chefiq.com, 30% off. How about that? Look, this is the ultimate gift for mom, for dad, for whomever. If you buy it for mom for Mother's Day, bingo. If you give it to dad for Father's Day, buy it now. If you want to give it to somebody for Christmas, for heaven's sakes, buy it now. 30% off. First of all, the one prong is like $100. And then there's a one that's 2 prongs, so you can do 2 different things simultaneously. And then there's one that has 3, right? You could have something on the stove, something in the oven, something out on the grill, and do all of them simultaneously perfectly. And then everybody's like, you're the best. And you're like, duh. 30% off. chefiq.com. Promo code Wendy. Okay. Sorry. I got lumps all over the place today. You guys, I knew it was just going to be one of those days. Do you ever wake up queasy? I did. I had like queasy tummy all morning long. I was like, bleh. Ask Brock. I was like, I don't feel that well, but I feel much better now that I'm with you. Thank you for that.
With me or them?
Them.
Oh, wow.
Well, I mean, it's all right. You're okay too. Oh, wait. We got something really sticking out right here. Hold on, guys. See how you get to see all of this every day? I'm sorry in advance, but it is what it is. Brock, what's justice for Fauci?
I think disgrace. We talked about it this morning. Taking away the sexiest man alive,
Yes.
and the
title, the respect,
all of it.
The oh my God,
I am
you're
science.
so great. Yeah. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, I think maybe the best decision this president has made so far in his second term was to sack Pam Bondi. Isn't it amazing now all of a sudden stuff's getting done? Things are happening, like I'm sure it was going on behind the scenes. But you and I have been paying attention to all of the suck since Joe Biden and the Democratic Party lied to us in 2020 and told us that Donald Trump lost the election, right? You and I have been on it. I've been on it like white on rice. I'm with you. I get it, right? Change is happening. It's not happening fast enough. It's starting to pick up. Federal agents raiding 20 plus Twin Cities sites in sweeping fraud probe, including the Quality Leering Center. The Department of Homeland Security said federal law enforcement executed criminal search warrants in Minneapolis relating to the rampant fraud of U.S. taxpayer dollars. This isn't Tim Walz doing this. Dude was blown in on this in 2019. He let it happen the same way Keith Ellison did the Attorney General of Minnesota. Same way. They were told, they nodded, let it happen. And I'm positive if you follow the money, we'll probably find the money trail going back to some very interesting Democratic coffers. Here's the story from alphanews.org. Large federal law enforcement operations swept across the Twin Cities early yesterday, with agents executing more than 20 search warrants as part of a wide-ranging fraud investigation involving businesses and child care centers, including the infamous Quality Leering Center. You know, as I read this to you, isn't it amazing that California's tit-for-tat response to this crackdown in Minneapolis is to try to pass the Nick Shirley Act to prevent citizen journalists like Nick Shirley, who exposed all of this with a freaking cell phone and an inquiring mind. And California Democrats are like, It's not the illegal aliens. It's not the crazy Democrat woke nonsense. It's not DEI or all of the nutty crap that we're doing to you. It's not the fraud, waste, and abuse. The problem, guys, is Nick Shirley. Got it. In a statement posted to X yesterday morning, Homeland Security Investigations said its agents were working alongside multiple law enforcement partners. They declined to provide further details. Fox News reported sources familiar with the investigation indicated many of the businesses targeted are largely Somali-owned businesses. You know what? Nick started exposing this stuff in January. It is now April, end of, I'm going to say 3 months. That's a pretty good turnaround time, right? It's been 5 years with freaking Fauci. 5 years. I'm interested in the data. I'm interested in the evidence. I'm interested in the witnesses. I want to know about the whistleblowers. I want it all. Now, do I think that they're going to claw back any of the money that's been stolen from us? Probably not. Probably not. But isn't it curious that President Trump wants to bounce, wants to take away that temporary protected status from some of these people who've defrauded us? And who comes to their rescue? The Democratic Party. Why? Yeah, because you know they're in on it. So Homeland Security Investigations, they go in, they raid these businesses, childcare, transportation, autism-related services, all taxpayer funded. And we should probably remind you that yesterday, Brooke Rollins, Ag Secretary, dropped the most mind-bending data on us that I've seen in a while. I'm going to see if I can pull it up right now. Brooke Rollins, SNAP, 14,000. I'm going to search for it and it's going to pop up in one red state. This isn't even a Democrat state. She did not specify which. One red state review of the beneficiaries on food stamps found thousands, 14,000 people on food stamps driving luxury cars. Would you guys like to drive a luxury car? And I'm not saying a Lexus is a luxury car. I'm not even putting Mercedes-Benz into that, okay? How about Bentleys? How about Ferraris and Lamborghinis? How about Alfa Romeos? Yes, in your face. In your face. These people who do not look like us, who do not have our culture, who do not have our citizenship, who are not proud card-carrying members of the greatest place on planet Earth, in your face, driving their $230,000 cars around, you guys. And Democrats want it to continue. So this is where we are. There is a drip that is becoming a little bit more steady. This now leading into the indictment, one more time, of a former FBI director who called for the assassination of the President of the United States of America. Don't tell me that 8647 wasn't exactly what Jim Comey wanted it to be. And now he's going to have to answer some very interesting questions. And the questions are going to go well beyond walking on the beach and coming across a very curious seashell formation. It is about the American people saying enough. And I'm going to leave you with this before the commercial break. What the deep state fears the most is left and right, black and white, liberal, conservative, different kinds of people coming together and loving their country. That is what all of this is trying to prevent, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, when is it okay to threaten the president's life? Asking for a friend. Next.
Look what I just sent you.
Oh no. Very exciting. Just in, the Florida House has overwhelmingly passed Governor Ron DeSantis's.
Read the one before that.
Oh,
2 before that.
Democrats are melting down over the Supreme Court ruling race-based congressional districts are unconstitutional. Suck it, Virginia. That's what that's all about.
That's Louisiana.
Oh, that's Louisiana. That's the high court decision.
Yeah.
That's the one we've been waiting for. Oh my gosh, I didn't read that right. All right, let me see here. That we got to come out with that. That's giant. Okay, so race-based. So then they're also going to scrap Virginia. But Texas is okay. That just came out, and Florida is okay. So right now, you're going to lose the 4 seats that Virginia thought they had added, and you're going to add at least 4 in Texas and at least 4 in Florida.
And they're
Okay,
saying up to 19
and across the South.
across the South.
Yeah.
Do you want that?
Yes.
CNN trying to.
Mm-hmm.
Let me grab it.
Thank you. Let me see it. Okay. All right. Breaking news, guys. All right, let me talk to you. Let me talk to you for a minute. I've gotten some of the most wonderful comments about tulip blooms. tulipblooms.shop/Wendy. These are a few of the products that are in my bag of favorite things at Tulip Blooms. This is the velour massaging oil. This is the castor blend serum. These are both in the soothing tab under tulipblooms.shop/Wendy. I'm going to say to you, if you have dry feet, dry elbows, if your hands, your knuckles get dry, your cuticles peel and they hurt, there are so many wonderful products to choose from at tulipblooms.shop/Wendy. Body butters, soothing essential oils, and the fragrances and the ingredients are purposefully selected by the owners of the company who are extraordinarily adept at fragrance and essential oil blends. Just amazing. tulipblooms.shop/Wendy. You can buy what I would put together as a box for me for Mother's Day. If I could get it for me, this is what I put into it. You can buy my box, or you can add your own things to it. And the more things you add to it, the greater your discount. So right out of the gates, anything you buy there, 10% off, promo code Wendy. You want to put together a box for your mom, your sister, your daughter, your neighbor, what have you, look there. You can see it. There's a promo. It says, Happy Mother's Day. Here's Wendy's thing. And then you can add your own. tulipblooms.shop/Wendy. I was talking like Hakeem Jeffries. A lot of hand motions. Oh my. SCOTUS. Louisiana. Should I read the SCOTUS blog?
I did not listen to the CNN.
I've not either, so I doubt that they're going to be swearing in it.
Yeah, well, I can take care of that.
Okay.
It is there. 119.
Well, we should read how NPR covers it.
Racist.
Can you do me a breaking news? An official fake Kelly breaking news? Kelly Pigeon, who, by the way, broke the record in his county for passing or having the largest kidney stone. Apparently.
Did he?
Yes.
Good for him.
Yes. He sent me the official certificate celebrating the birth of the girth of that stone.
The birth of the girth.
And I can't imagine what that feels like. It hurts me. And I've had multiple kids. So
He should just rub some dirt on it.
yes, I bet you tulip blooms would help with that.
Yeah.
Don't you think? I do. Kelly, I'm so sorry, but I'm glad you're better.
I'm laughing with you.
I'm not laughing at all. That's not laughing at all.
Well, there goes his excuse.
That's so not very friendly of
I
you.
know.
That goes his excuse for what?
I don't know.
Oh.
Everything.
That's not very friendly. All right. Somehow I got out of. Okay. Look at you guys. How we doing? 90,000 followers. I am so excited, you guys. Thank you for that. If you haven't followed us, It says follow right underneath the video box. All
Check
you
out
have
our
to do is
shorts.
click it. Yeah. So Michael's been putting up little videos called shorts, and people have been joining there much more than they've been joining watching this show. So that leads me to believe that more and more people are being exposed to the show, which is fantastic.
He's going to up the ante. I was texting him.
Oh, he said that?
Well, I asked, and he's like, yeah, I think we should.
Mhm.
So I said, go back and find old ones that are relevant. Just
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much to clip that we could put up there. You have just as an endless supply of content. All right, so we'll get you this breaking news, guys. This is significant. We'll get you the CNN coverage, and then I'll read NPR. We try to give you both sides, the liberal side, and you guys decide what you know what my side is. I mean,
it's all coming.
you think so?
We go from no news to too much.
And gentlemen, I got to break in right off the top here.
Wendy Bell Radio. Breaking news.
That's exactly right. And this is it. This is it. And this is fantastic news for everybody who loves fairness and America and is enjoying being a Republican right about now. Supreme Court calls Louisiana's House map an unconstitutional racial gerrymander. You guys, this could mean a switch for the Republican Party, a gain of 19 House seats as soon as when? Possibly even the midterms. Well, let's find out. This is how NPR is saying it. And then we're going to break in with some CNN, how they broke in with it. U.S. Supreme Court, in a 6-3 decision along partisan lines, ruled that Louisiana's 2024 election map, which created a second majority Black congressional district, was an unconstitutional racial gerrymander. Although the court kept Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act intact, Wednesday's decision, this is literally 2 hours ago, I guess, all but guts the landmark law that came out of the civil rights movement and protected the collective voting power of racial minorities when political maps are redrawn. It isn't yet clear how this decision is going to affect November's midterms. Primaries are well underway in most states. Let's listen in, see how CNN delivers this news as Republicans are poised, hopefully, to hold on to a majority in the House of Representatives. Let's find out.
They think 19 seats could be at risk all throughout the South. The question will be the timing. Is this a 2028 play? Is this a 2026 play? There are some primaries here coming up, not until later in the cycle, August 6th. There's one in Tennessee. That's Steve Cohen's seat. That's a majority minority district. That's in August 6th. The one Democratic seat there. The Jim Clyburn seat in South Carolina. That is the Democratic seat in South Carolina. That's a June 9th primary. Jamie, this shows you the ramifications long term for this ruling.
Absolutely. Just think about that number, 19 seats in play. And let's look at this politically. Laura, you talked about confusion going into this race. We're worried about voter suppression. Apart from the long-term impact, we are going to see people take advantage of that confusion. There is going to be, these midterms are so high stakes that anybody who thinks they can take advantage, on the state level of this decision, there is going to be a scramble to see if they can, because each side thinks this is an existential midterm with the House especially.
Yeah.
I don't even know what she's talking about, but she's saying, hey, people are going to use this and try to weasel their way in or cheat or what have you. Here's the news flash for CNN. You guys have been cheating for years. I mean, come on. Spare us your death march faces, the somber vibe in that studio at CNN. It's like everybody was like, ugh, it's the worst. Well, or maybe not. What have they promised us? What have the Democrat Party promised us? Did they promise you, we're going to go out and we're going to fight for you? Has a Democrat ever come out to you and said to you, you know what? You pay too much. The taxes are too high. The regulations are ridiculous. Climate change is garbage. The restrictions around COVID were meant to freak you out so we could steal an election. January 6th was a setup to run a smokescreen to cover up that whole mess, right? And we were able to then capitalize, merchandise off the January 6th suffering to create this stupid storyline that Republicans are a threat to democracy, right? Have you ever had a Democrat come up to you and said to you, I understand, my party has failed you. We vote in lockstep because we have guns held to our heads. And you know who's holding the pistol? Nancy freaking Pelosi. We vote as a block because we're not allowed to be individuals. We're not allowed to have our own thoughts. And we're sure as hell not allowed to tell you the truth. But if you vote for me, here, I'm going to put it in freaking writing. I will not lie. Okay, now I'm listening. But they don't. Why? Why? Huh. Good for America. These things that are coming out, these rules that are coming out, what Virginia just did, by the way, if they're going to say voter suppression, there's no voter suppression in this country. If you're 18 years old, you can register to vote. We just want there to be proof that you're a freaking citizen of this country. We want you to be able to prove who you are. That's called voter protection, not voter suppression. Now, it does suppress people who ought not be voting. In that case, that CNN news babe is telling you the truth. We're worried about voter suppression. Yeah, I bet you are, sweet lips, because you need illegals to cheat for you. Gosh, it's almost like we all see it so clearly and have for 6 years. Oh, because we have. Because we have. Now, let's proceed with the rest of today's regular scheduled program. Before I go off the rails and need a Xanax, former FBI Director James Comey indicted again. Now, look, I don't believe that they're going to be able to get the guy on creating a seashell formation that was a dog whistle to every wacko lunatic out there, wandering in virtual Siberia because they are a product of the public school system that told them, don't worry about math and English and showing your work, just be a victim and grow up to be an activist, a community organizer like Barack Hussein Obama. And then all of a sudden you have these wayward 20, 30-year-old dudes, single, right, rudderless, and they pick up all of these signs. 8647, what could that mean? The former director of the FBI wants you to believe that he doesn't understand what that meant. Is it so insulting? Aren't you so tired of being treated like an idiot? It's so off-putting. So he's indicted again. And I think the issue here is to squeeze this guy, to make him feel as uncomfortable as physically possible, to take him through a legal nightmare the way they did Donald Trump, the way they did anybody who got rounded up because they were with him in Joe Biden's presidency. That way. Oh, James Comey. This is his response. He's going to say to you, look, don't you worry about me. I'm totally innocent. I'm confident in my defense. Don't you worry. They can't intimidate me. I hear something quite a bit different. Listen and you decide.
Well, they're back. This time about a picture of seashells on a North Carolina beach a year ago. And this won't be the end of it. But nothing has changed with me. I'm still innocent. I'm still not afraid. And I still believe in the independent federal judiciary. So let's go. But it's really important that all of us remember this is not who we are as a country. This is not how the Department of Justice is supposed to be. And the good news is we get closer every day to restoring those values. Keep the faith.
This is not who we are as a country. James Comey just said this is not who we are as a country. Do you want to know who we aren't as a country, sir? Assassins. We're not killers. We don't go out and kill each other because we disagree with one another. We don't go out and put in the sand, as the former director of the Federal Bureau of Investigations assassinate the 47th president. And for him to say, oh, I just stumbled upon it on the beach with my wife. You are such an abomination, such a miserable, lousy human being. I pity you, James Comey. I pity you. See, I'd rather hate you because pity is so much worse. Pity is, there is not even a shred of decency in your soul that I see. And I pity you because we'll all go on and live our lives. We'll go on and love who we wish and do what we want and dream and create and breathe. And every single time we look at you, know that we see you and we pity you for being the outrageous dirtbag that you are. And when James Comey says, I'm still innocent, I'm still not afraid, that means I'm guilty as stones and I'm scared to death of federal prison. Do you think he's going to go there? I don't. But he's going to become Eric Swalwell's brand of toxicity. That nobody is going to want to be around him. Because even being in his presence might somehow jump off on other people and tarnish them. That is you, Mr. Comey. I pity you. You know, Tulsi Gabbard told us a year ago that she was working this case. And I'm going to save her audio probably for when we come back after the break, because I want you to hear it. This isn't some fly-by-night investigation. This isn't some political retribution. This isn't some revenge. This is a former director of the FBI encouraging some whack job lunatic. And by the way, there are quite a few of them wandering around out there to go and kill. To go and kill. And to go and kill the President of the United States. That's not seashells in the sand. That's the line in the sand. There is no defense. There is no explanation. Because that's disgusting. And that is not who we are as a people. Tulsi Gabbard says, ever since that day that James Comey said he stumbled upon that formation, Sean Curran, who's in charge of Secret Service for the president, has been investigating. He's been working with the Department of National Intelligence. And he's got information, and it is from that information that this new indictment should arise. And so let's hear from the director of the Office of DNI, should we say. Let's hear what she said a year ago about what we know about James Comey. Then you decide. Revenge, politicization, or justice. Next. She's actually very good. And I remember it, but I don't remember it in the context now that it makes sense to me so much, right? That the whole dog whistle thing. She's right. Sort of was. From somebody very high up who still had national security clearance.
I mean, we always talk about coincidences. What are the chances of all the beaches in all the world that he just happens to come across?
It's so dumb.
And his wife, him telling
she's
the
like,
story.
yeah.
Someone put their address on here. No, I think this is a political, a creative political statement. Oh, you should take a picture and Instagram it. And poof, and look what happened. Get them out of here.
That's so funny.
I might have been born at night, but it wasn't last night. Don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining.
Well, we got to play.
them all.
I have to play Mark Kelly for you guys when we come back, because what he says is so ridiculous. And it's just so obvious who all the really ugly players here who don't love America. They love their own power, and they're really desperate to keep it. I want to tell you about Juvenon, bloodflow7.com. That's the landing zone that you go to get 30% off all the products that they make that we love. And the one that I do not take that is highly recommended to people who are really struggling with weight loss, who have significant weight to lose, say 30, 40, 50 pounds. You've got a significant chunk of yourself that you'd like to lose, but you just don't feel like you've got the power to do it, or you're not moving the scale fast enough. This is why I love Bloodflow 7, because they've got this. GLP-1 Gold. It is their product to jumpstart that conversation between your brain and your belly that a lot of people's don't have, where it's like you're full. And this tells your belly, you're full. You don't need to eat anymore. And so you eat less, obviously. You can skip meals. And that is what really jumpstarts your weight loss. Again, GLP-1 Gold. I have no idea what weight loss shots or other medications cost. But with 30% off from bloodflow7.com/Wendy, this is a negligible cost. Like what, $40 a month, something like that. If that. That is a great idea. GLP-1 Gold is what it's called. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy is how you get it. Always 30% off. Pretty good deal. Well, pants on fire. Liar, liar.
This.
Liar, liar.
You may see rise because of this. That voting right, the Supreme Court. Don't be surprised.
They'll have to gin something up. Look, if you think about how much they've tried to get us against each other, they need us fighting.
It's interesting to me because they usually make these decisions in June.
But they had to hurry it up because you got primaries, you got stuff you got going. And remember, the thing was they were delayed because the dissenters, Kagan, Sotomayor, and what's her face, Ketanji Brown Jackson, were slow walking the dissent because they were hoping if they gummed up the works that they couldn't get these rules changed in time for the midterms. And about that. Couldn't happen to a nicer bunch of dirtbags. Wow. That's a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
Makers told you the truth? I don't, actually. No, that's a good question. So legal questions are emerging over whether charges against former FBI Director James Comey would withstand a First Amendment challenge as he's indicted for a social media post allegedly tied to threats against President Donald Trump. Whether or not that moves forward and has anything demonstrably justice-oriented at the end, these stories do flush out the suck, don't they? And one of the big purveyors of it is Senator Mark Kelly. I want you to hear what he said. He's on with Anderson Cooper last night, and he's playing the dumb card about the stupid seashells that say, hey, it's time to 86 this president. Let's hear how Senator Mark Kelly, who has no believability left, how he lies to the American people on live television.
I mean, these were, a bunch of seashells on a beach. The president seems to throw people in, different categories. You're either, on his side and a supporter. He's going to help you. He's going to try to, in the case if you're really close to him, he's going to try to, help you, enrich yourself, what he does with his family and close friends. If you're a perceived enemy, he'll try to throw you in jail. If you speak out against him, he's going to try to silence you.
Oh, Mark. It's ridiculous, and you know it. Jesse Waters with Tulsi Gabbard back in May of last year. This is like a year ago, okay? When the whole thing happened, and Comey puts out on Instagram, look at what I found. Tulsi blows it out of the water from the very beginning. Listen.
Tulsi Gabbard's the director of national intelligence. Are you buying that the former FBI director didn't know what 86 Trump meant?
Absolutely not, Jesse. That is a ridiculous and insane statement to make, certainly within this context, but especially coming from a guy who's the former director of the FBI, a guy who spent most of his career prosecuting mobsters and gangsters, people who know and execute other humans, and use this exact lingo of 86. Comey himself admitted in his follow-on message that he knew that this was a political statement. Well, the only reason he knew that, Jesse, was because a little over a month ago, a bunch of anti-Trump, anti-Elon Musk protesters were proliferating the use of this 8647 slogan, which was a veiled call to action to murder the sitting president of the United States. So for Comey to think that we, the American people, are so stupid as to think that he, as a former FBI director, former prosecutor, and someone who clearly pays attention to what's going on, would believe his lie that he didn't know what this actually was calling for?
Period. After multiple assassination attempts, right? The former director of the FBI puts out a hit on the president of the United States. They couldn't beat the will of the American people, so the deep state wants to kill. Is it seriously that simple? Here's Tulsi.
The dangerousness of this, Jesse, cannot be underestimated. When we have 2 assassination attempts on the president's life, when we have people who look to guys like Comey, who've been celebrated by MSNBC and the Democrat elite and CNN as the beacon of integrity, the law and order guy, the guy who would tell the truth no matter what the consequences. This is the guy who's issuing a hit on President Trump, the president that the American people voted for. So it's guys like Comey and others who call the president the modern day Nazi, people who are in great positions of influence, who are saying that President Trump poses an existential threat to our country. These are people who hate democracy and hate the American people because they cannot stand that the people overwhelmingly chose to elect Donald Trump and send him back to the White House. So they are seeking other means to get their way and to try to remove him from that position.
And she says Sean Curran, the head of the Secret Service, has been leading this investigation for the Department of Homeland Security into what we believe is a clear call to kill President Trump. It is the new culture of the left. It is kill culture.
There has to be accountability for this. There was a Rutgers study that just came out a little over a month ago, Jesse, that asked respondents their view on these calls to assassinate President Trump. And over 55% of respondents felt that murdering President Trump would be, quote unquote, somewhat justified. This is the effect of people like James Comey doing this kind of stuff. This study also pointed out that there is a, quote unquote, assassination culture that is starting to take over the views of what they call the extreme left. We, the American people, cannot take this lightly. Whatever your politics, we cannot allow people to get by without being held accountable for this kind of public call to assassinate the president of the United States.
And I remind everybody, not like you need it, we had a black president for 8 years. How many assassination attempts on Barack Obama's life that you know of? I know of none. For a country that's so bitterly racist, as the left tells us we are. It's curious. 8 years, and nobody said that about Barack Obama. But it is okay in this circumstance. No, it's not. It's never. It's disgusting. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, my friends, I want to talk to you guys about Fauci in the crosshairs. Oh my, next.
Oh, you got through that.
What do you mean?
Oh, Tulsi.
Yes, I wasn't sure I was going to. All right, we got to try to fix this real fast, guys. So sorry, you got to bear with me. Brock's happy. He can jump in here and talk anytime. This is why he plays Welcome to the Jungle.
I have buttons.
No, you don't. All right. Ladies and gentlemen.
I can tell you about Sniper. Disinfect with sniper.com while she's doing this. Sniper will not help her hair. That is out of control. And there's certain things Sniper can do and can't do.
Right.
That's one of the things it can't do. But if your washer's stanky, if your kid's sporting equipment, we're getting to sporting equipment season, is stanky.
Yes.
I know my baseball season's coming up. My bag's coming up from the basement and getting hosed down with Sniper.
Mm-hmm.
It kills germs. It kills. I use it on the dog bed. I use it in the bathroom. I use it in the kitchen.
on the carpet next to where I sit because of Murphy.
Oh, poor Murphy.
You know, he's smelly sometimes. So
disinfectwithsniper.com. Stuff just works. I use it in my cigar room. All of it just works. The knockout, the odor eliminator works. Harmony, now with you planting your garden, Harmony for your plants, for insects. There's a difference. The one Harmony has a residue that lasts. The stuff you put on your plants is a little diluted, so it won't kill your plants. It won't leave a residue on your plants. He's got a mosquito stuff. I don't know if it's up on the site yet, but mosquito stuff coming out. Stuff that you don't spray on you, but you spray on the furniture and things like that around you.
I mean, I tell you what, somebody who gets mauled by bugs, I'm exceedingly
You're gonna have
delighted.
to get that by the gallons.
I'll be so excited. I'm going to run to the bathroom. I'm sorry.
Okay. There's also stuff for your hostas and stuff for he's coming out with, he's putting a new product out there called Coastal Maine. It's for plants and fruit trees, and it's the stuff you put in the soil, the nutrients to help them grow. He's super so he and I have breakfast every Saturday, and last breakfast, a half an hour spent talking about specifically this new product that he has coming out with you guys from Coastal Maine. It's for azaleas and roses and your garden, your fruit trees, your trees. So disinfectwithsniper.com, disinfectwithsniper.com. Yeah, the Sniper works on the cigar room. It's what I clean all my ashtrays with. I clean it. It's great for when I turn on the air conditioning. I have an old house, so I don't have central. I have some window units placed strategically in my house. I spray the filters down with it. I spray inside it. Kills everything, because you get that damp, musty smell. Takes it away. My cigar filter that I have.
So I know that Michael, my son, pays attention to this show. Obviously, he does the podcast and whatnot. But last night he said to me, he said, "Hey, Mom, do you think I should give that Health Revolution a call?" I'm like,
yeah. He had to ask?
info.healthrevolution.net. 800-868-6187. Write it down. Write it down for the college kid of yours or the kid who's 26 getting out of whatever they're doing. They're off your insurance now, right? Health insurance. They need coverage. Why would you spend so much on coverage that you don't need when you can kind of a la carte your own plan with Health Revolution? info.healthrevolution.net. 30 to 60% off. That's what people are saving, between 30 and 60%. Some people are saving hundreds upon hundreds of dollars a month. And here's the deal. No copays, reasonable deductibles. You keep your doctor and then you pick the coverage that you want. And I use it, and it sounds like a broken record, but a young man does not need maternity coverage, Neither does someone who's 50, right? I can attest to that. Don't work anymore, right? info.healthrevolution.net. You decide, you save money. We know these people. We trust these people. You have to be under 65. If you're on COBRA, if you're under 65, if you're self-employed, right? If you're done paying too much, if you're done having insurance that doesn't work for you, 800-868-6187, healthrevolution.net, period.
Wow. Rando 364 gave you $100.
What? Why?
To Wendy, the most beautiful conservative podcaster, and for Brock, studliest tech in the nation.
Well, we know this is
I love you guys and I hate my days without you.
Aw.
Studliest
That's very
tech.
nice.
Sorry. Here's the problem.
What?
How many techs and producers do you actually see? So it's like a really niche.
What are you trying to say, that you're more valuable than they know?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I would agree. I took the wind out of his sails.
Well.
Okay. Now that we've all gotten ready together, it is what it is. I Fooster.
Some place you just can't win.
I love you guys. All right, so we're a little behind, but
really.
we have so much great content. I'm not skipping things.
I kind of like the way it worked out.
You do?
I like this soundbite
The Johnson coming into it?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I'm telling you what, I love alphanews.com. If you guys are ever, that's Liz Collin. That's her outfit, Alpha News. Very reasonable, believable, factual, reliable stuff. Thank you.
All right. Hit that thumbs up button.
Are we not having a lot of rumbles? Thank you for the $100. That was awful nice. All right. Ready to rock and roll here.
Well, since you're ready, I guess.
I could go for a cheeseburger.
Oh, here we go again.
Like a McDonald's quarter pounder with cheese.
French dip.
3, 1. Wendy Bell. Inspiring solutions to save America, one show at a time. Are you ready to get on board?
They believe that they can destroy this bond that exists between you and Trump if they somehow make Trump look bad, make Trump look like a reprobate, embarrass you about Trump. They can't do it because you came before Trump. Desperately want Trump gone, and I know that they desperately want it codified, that Trump cannot run again, because make no mistake, they remain scared to death of you, and they remain separate you from Make America Great Again.
From sea to shining sea, 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. The Wendy Bell Radio Program.
Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell Radio Program is live. Dr. Death's House of Cards is collapsing. Now, that shouldn't offend you. People are like, you shouldn't call people names. Well, it is Dr. Fauci, and so I'm going to say gloves off. You should be able to call that little creature anything you want, okay? The DOJ has indicted Tony Fauci's former top advisor for conspiracy, ladies and gentlemen, across the United States. His name is Dr. David Morens. He was, I think you could describe him as Fauci's scrubber. So this is the guy who deleted or concealed federal COVID-related emails, which, by the way, is a felony. And now people are saying, okay, do Fauci next. This is very interesting. The Department of Justice announced Tuesday it has indicted a top Fauci-era National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases employee for allegedly taking part in a scheme to conceal federal records regarding COVID-19 research grants. The DOJ said David Morins, who's 78, has been charged with conspiracy against the U.S., which includes destruction, alteration, or falsification of records in federal investigations, concealment, removal, or mutilation of records, as well as aiding and abetting. From 2006 to 2022, Morins served as a senior advisor to former NIAID Director Dr. Anthony Fauci. I just want to give you the details of what the Department of Justice is alleging this dude did. Morins and two unnamed co-conspirators, one of whom we widely believe is Fauci himself, and others, allegedly conspired during the COVID-19 pandemic to defraud the U.S. and commit related offenses after the NIH terminated one of the co-conspirators' grants. The grant, named Understanding the Risk of Bat Coronavirus Emergence, was terminated following allegations that COVID-19 originated from the Wuhan Institute of Virology in Wuhan, China. Of course, NIAID had awarded the grant to Company One. I don't know. Is that Eco Health Alliance? I don't know. In Wuhan Institute of Virology, right? And obviously, this is how COVID was born. Now, you're not supposed to know all this because they think you're stupid the same way they think you're stupid that James Comey just happened to stumble upon somebody writing "kill the president" in seashells. Got it. So now the big clamor is to turn the sights onto Fauci himself. Pressure is mounting on the Department of Justice to prosecute the architect, the guy who did this, the architect of a killer virus that wiped out 20 million people around the world, right? Let's just think about that for a minute. Can you imagine waking up in the morning and knowing that it was because of you, that there was literally nowhere on planet Earth that people didn't die? That because of you, children were set back with their communication, their connections with other human beings, their education by years? That because of you, how many terrified, alone senior citizens died because their families weren't allowed to see them during COVID because of you? There is a rampant distrust of medicine and science now. Can you imagine that? The indictment of Dr. Anthony Fauci's former advisor, David Morins, yesterday revived calls for the Department of Justice to prosecute Fauci himself for allegedly lying to Congress about funding risky research in China before the COVID-19 pandemic. Look, just like I don't think Comey is going to face jail time for seashells. I don't think Anthony Fauci is going to be perp walked and put into a jail cell for lying about gain of function research. But if we can completely tarnish his past, anything that he did, if we can expose to the world that never again do we allow ourselves to be scared to the point of being dictated to. So Morins is charged with conspiracy. Fauci's in the hot seat. And now you've got this group. I want you to hear what Ron Johnson had to say about this and how his team actually discovered this Dr. Morins guy. He had lied under oath and was absolutely deleting official government emails. It was Senator Ron Johnson and his team that had put out all this information and said, hey, went to all these universities where these guys were getting grants and whatnot and said, give us all your information. This is how Senator Ron Johnson learned about Dr. Morins being Fauci's official document eraser. Here it is.
Well, first of all, I want to give a big shout out to my staff who literally found this needle in the haystack. We got a document dump of something like 115,000 pages. By the way, not from HHS or NIH. We got this from one of the universities that they were working with, providing grant money to. But in that tranche of 115,000 pages, my staff identified an email that David Morens, advisor to Fauci, wrote, and to paraphrase, said, we found a way to make FOIA-able documents disappear. And oh, by the way, people emailing me on the subject, don't email to my official account, email to my Gmail account. So old Dr. Morens, after 2 years plus of that disclosure, was arrested and indicted on conspiracy and destruction of federal records, and it's about time.
It is about time, and it's also time for us to talk about Dr. Fauci's so-called pardon. Remember Joe Biden pardoning him? Was it really Joe Biden's pen? Was it an auto pen pardon? Well, these guys over at the White Coat Waste Project, they say, look, more arrests need to happen. The Fauci pardon has to be overturned after the DOJ indicts his top advisor for the COVID cover-up, alleging this is not some lone wolf guy. This was a systematic fraud. This is the same thing as the 2020 election, different subjects, same results. Got to get a lot of people in on it for it to work. And my, didn't they?
David Morens was Fauci's top henchman during the COVID lab leak cover-up. He was the one coordinating with Peter Daszak and EcoHealth Alliance and Fauci behind the scenes, offline, destroying. He's admitted this in emails. This idiot admitted this in emails. That he worked with the FOIA lady, the quote unquote FOIA lady at NIH, to destroy emails. He was back channeling to Fauci, going to his home to bring him documents and have sensitive conversations with. Said Fauci was, too smart to say certain things on official emails, so he would use his Gmail in a violation of the Freedom of Information Act. So they were destroying records, evading FOIA, violating records retention laws, conspiring to commit felonies in some cases. And this is what we're seeing Morens held accountable for, at least the beginning of that. And if you read the indictment in the DOJ press release, there's a co-conspirator one who I believe is Dr. Peter Daszak from EcoHealth Alliance, of course, who infamously funneled Fauci's money to the Wuhan lab. And also senior official, not NIAID official number one, I believe, is Anthony Fauci. So they're both implicated in David Morens' illegal activity in terms of destroying federal records, violating FOIA, conspiring to cover up the COVID lab leak in Wuhan.
And here are other details. The White Coat Waste Project has also uncovered that the leadership right now underneath Jay Bhattacharya, the FDA, is all Fauci-era people, all of his people. White Coat Waste uncovered evidence that other Fauci-era officials still at the NIH conspired with EcoHealth Alliance to violate a federal ban on gain-of-function research and to fund the dangerous animal tests in Wuhan that probably caused COVID. Come on! We know it did. RFK Jr.'s NIH has also promoted Morens' collaborator and gain-of-function cheerleader Jeffrey Taubenberger to replace Fauci, even though he tried to reinstate the disastrous NIH grant that funded the Wuhan lab after White Coat Waste exposed it and President Trump cut the funding and all of this. So you've got the guy who's replacing Fauci being basically as bad as Fauci. You just don't know who he is. And so now the eyes are on Bobby Kennedy Jr. Everybody's looking at him. This is your Department of Health. These are people under your purview. Why are we getting the same old people who were part of the fraud, the deception, the deceit, and the death of 20 million people globally? How are they still employed and in positions of power? Because until those people are gone, we trust nobody. I trust nobody. Well, when we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, I want you to hear, this might be Senator Rand Paul's lone contribution, right? Lone contribution to the world. You're going to hear it next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Brock said that this morning to me. He's like, this is probably the one thing that Rand Paul was good for. And it was skewering Fauci and getting him his hands to shake during his Senate testimony, right? Senator Paul, you do not know what you were talking about. And you're like, I'm pretty sure he does. Pretty sure he does, in fact. All right. The healthyfat.com, thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. There are some doctors I do listen to. And I very much appreciate Dr. Simkovich. Very, very much. I very much appreciate doctors like McCullough at the Wellness Company. And when doctors like Dr. Stephen Gundry, top of his game, head of a complete hospital system, guy who's innovated, created medical devices, who is a top pediatric cardiothoracic, like heart transplant surgeon. Like, if he comes out and he's like, look, I did something and I lost 70 pounds doing it. Want to try it? What do you say? Yes. Yes and yes. And then when he says, well, all you have to do is put a scoop of this stuff in water and drink it once a day. Would you want to try that? Yes. Well, you can. I drink it. It's fabulous. Completely kills your appetite. Jump starts. It's got polyphenols, ketones, or what does it say? It's ketones for more energy. This is it. MCT Wellness, but you get it by going to thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. You're already drinking water. Why don't you just put a scoop of that in it and be like, now I don't have to worry for 4 or 5 hours. I don't have to eat anything because I'm not going to be hungry. 70 pounds. Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. It works. Thousands of people have lost 70 pounds or more. That's nutty. That's what Brock lost. That's crazy. That's half of a person, right?
Wow.
Or a small child. You kind of birthed a small child.
A small child, maybe like a 6th grader.
Mm-hmm. I have big children, so 70 pounds. When was the last time you were 70 pounds?
4.
Oh, shush. Stop.
I was a dumpling.
You were a dumpling? This is Rand Paul did a good job on this one. I will give him credit. And I want to read this to you. He's been a thorn in the president's side, for sure. Oh, John Fetterman's on. Oh, he's talking about the White House correspondents. I love the people who stand up and look around. What's going on? Got with Secret Service and everybody with their guns out. Some people are like, what happened? Ooh, your girl looks pretty today. Sandra Smith.
I don't get to see her anymore. You made us break up.
It's his babe.
You made us.
It's his news babe. Everybody's got to squeeze. Who's yours? Who's your news babe? Tell me. Tell me in the comments section. I want to know.
You ruined our relationship.
Even if it's a hack lefty, it's okay. Tell me who it is. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, Rand Paul has been an interesting individual to pay attention to over the last several years. He kind of got a little bit of Thomas Massey in him, right? Where it's like anything to resist Trump. I guess they've had words. Obviously, we know this. And he's become somewhat obstreperous with voting. Senator Paul, are you going to vote for all of that? Are you going to vote for the Save America Act? Or are you going to be a jerk and say no because you think it's going to screw Donald Trump? Well, it screws this country. This is what I like about John Fetterman. Country over party. It's a novel idea. But I want to take you back to something that Senator Paul wrote in July of last year. And this is something that clearly didn't get a whole lot of press. Because he has been like white on rice on Tony Fauci. Rand Paul has. And this is what he writes. This is his official Senate letterhead. Senator Rand Paul re-refers Dr. Anthony Fauci to the Department of Justice. Listen to this. Dr. Rand Paul, Republican out of Kentucky, today renewed his referral of Dr. Anthony Fauci to the Department of Justice for potential criminal prosecution, following new revelations that Fauci was granted a presidential pardon using an auto pen operated by White House staff without clear evidence of President Biden's direct authorization. It says this: in July 2023, I referred Dr. Anthony Fauci to the Department of Justice for lying under oath to Congress. His own emails directly contradicted his sworn testimony, Dr. Rand Paul said. The New York Times reports Fauci was quietly pardoned by an auto pen operated by Biden's staff. If the president didn't authorize this pardon personally, then the department has a duty to investigate and prosecute as it would any ordinary citizen. Fauci has been sainted by the extremist left, but it doesn't erase his lying before Congress. Senator Paul's original criminal referral cites Fauci's 2021 testimony before the Senate, where he denied that the National Institutes of Health funded gain-of-function research in Wuhan. Well, it just so happens that we have Tony Fauci's moment of perjury here for you to chew on.
Let me finish. You take an animal virus and you increase its transmissibility to humans.
Right.
You're saying that's not gain of function?
Yeah, that is correct. And Senator Paul, you do not know what you are talking about, quite frankly. And I want to say that officially.
We don't know.
Well,
we don't
wait
know
a minute.
If it did come from the lab, but all the evidence is pointing that it came from the lab, and there will be responsibility for those who funded the lab, including yourself.
I totally
This committee will allow the witness to respond.
I totally resent the lie that you are now propagating, Senator. That is
Can't
not.
get away from it. It meets your definition, and you are obfuscating the truth.
I'm not obfuscating the truth.
Senator
You are the
Paul's
one
time is-
to
No one's saying
result
they are. No
in
one's saying those
SARS-CoV-2.
viruses caused the pandemic.
Senator Paul,
We're saying they are gain-of-function viruses because they were
They're not.
animal viruses that became more transmissible in human, and you funded it.
And
you
you
won't admit the truth.
And you are implying that what we did was responsible for the deaths of individual. I totally resent
could
that.
have
And
been.
if anybody
could
is
have been.
lying here, Senator, it is you.
Wow, sounds a little defensive. I'm not defensive. Who's defensive? Right? That was Fauci lying to protect his own butt. Because yes, we know for a fact that he used millions of U.S. taxpayer dollars that he funneled by way of Peter Daszak at EcoHealth Alliance and Dr. Ralph Barrick at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and worked in conjunction with Xi Zhengli, the bat lady, at the Wuhan Institute of Virology in China, because that made sense to fiddle with a freaking virus and make it deadlier in human beings. And that was under the guise of, well, that's research. We've got to make sure if anything happens that we've got the right antidote for it. Really? So my question is, was it always about the vaccine? Was it always about pushing a depopulation agent, something that would fundamentally sterilize a very nice chunk of the younger generation and completely transform our country and its views and trust of science and medicine? Was that the point? Was the point to get as many people vaccinated so pharma and others could make money? Is that why the virus was what? I don't know. It was, I forget the word for it. All of the various components of it were patented in the months before it was even released. So how much is that pardon of Tony Fauci airtight and rock solid? I think we've got inquiring minds all over the world who would like to know. That, Senator Paul, was your gift to America. And I say thank you. When we come back, so much more. Let's remember what he did to us next. All right, so I want to tell you, women, men too, but particularly women, osteoporosis as we get older, it's a real concern. I'm particularly intrigued by this Healthy Cell for bone health. My grandmother on my dad's side, my dad's mom, and my dad also, I don't know what it's called. There's a diagnosis for it. It's where you have like a hump in your back right here, kind of like a hunchback. My grandmother, it was extraordinarily pronounced in her as she got older. And I can see my father has the same thing, not to the degree that she did. But I'm way interested in not having that. And a lot of that is about bone health. And Healthy Cell has a product for bone strength. This is what it is. Women, we start losing bone density gradually at about age 30, but it significantly accelerates during perimenopause and also menopause. So typically 40s into your 50s. And this is because of obviously plummeting estrogen levels, which are crucial for bone maintenance, and it leads to rapid loss, often up to 20% in the first few years post-menopause. This is the time to be taking this product. Healthy Cell just launched this new product called Bone Strength. It's a gel supplement that has calcium, of course, but also several other vitamins and minerals that are key to maintaining strong bones. We're talking vitamin D, vitamin K2, magnesium, zinc, and more. In fact, it replaces 12 pills worth of supplements. It has a delicious tropical flavor that's so much better than taking pills. Healthy Cell's bone strength rather. Bone strength. Why? Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Why shouldn't all of us? healthycell.com/Wendy. Their products are phenomenal. And I'm telling you, I don't want to be that. I don't want to have that bone problem. I hope I don't become that way. We'll see.
If you do, can I call you Quasimodo? We'll get you a bell and a tower. Oh, if you can't make fun of it.
Really?
Q. I'll call you Q.
Don't you think that's very interesting that Rand Paul was that dog on a bone? He's become that dog on a bone to contradict President Trump, but he's that on it with Fauci to urge the DOJ to review the legality of the pardon. So it's been 11 months, yo. What do we know? Maybe that happens soon. Because Fauci, apparently, according to the White Coat Waste Project, is that co-conspirator number 2. Pretty interesting. Did it get freezing?
No.
Oh, my goodness. Gravy. Oh, brr. All right. So much better. Okay. How you doing? If you have not written down his number yet, I will say the one part of my life, aside from my brush with the law and criminality,
in those ugly green pants,
as a youngster, I would say the biggest thing that I struggled with were really bad headaches. I had really debilitating headaches, and there were multiple family vacations that I spent in the dark on a cruise with my mom and dad and my sister. The number of birthday parties I had to come home from because I would swim, and if I went down too deep, it would trigger one of the headaches. And one of my headaches, I was out for the count, and I've never experienced pain like that. It's just the most isolating, miserable, alone feeling. It's just terrible. If I had known and it was available at the time, I would have gone to Dr. Simkovich. I would have crawled to Dr. Simkovich at the Simkovich Concussion Institute. It's not just about having your head get hurt. It's not just about your brain, getting hurt. It's about issues that, whether you were born with them or otherwise, cause you problems. Dr. Simkovich fixes them with his hands. He fixes you without surgery, without instruments, without blood. And it works. And so if you suffer that miserable pain of headaches and you're missing life, 412-366-3700. Don't. I feel like a sympathy headache coming on right now. Stop it. It's just the worst. I would rather be stabbed than feel that. It's just terrible. And it's so alone. Don't be. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. 412-366-3700. He's all that. I really wonder how strong his pardon is. What do you guys think? Gonna hold up? They've got to be able to take it away. There's got to be some kind of prosecution for that guy in some way. 2.1 thousand rumbles, 5,200 watching. Thank you. Wait, come on, just click that thumbs up button underneath the video box and hit follow. I'm worth it.
That's kind of creepy.
I have a lot of admitted anger pent up that I had to compartmentalize during COVID. And I remember my husband, Joe, said to me when we were in the throes of lockdown here in the land before time, it's Pennsylvania, by the way. He said, you know what you should do, Wen? You should go into the basement every single night and do a minute and a half video about the developments in COVID this day. And then at the end of this nightmare, whenever it ends, you're going to have a running tally of everything that happened, and it will be very unusual. I did it for 2 days, and then I couldn't do it anymore. It was so disheartening to know that the Catholic school that my kids go to, my youngest sons at the time were in the 7th and 8th grades, right? That they had to freaking wear masks while they played basketball, and none of the other parents looked around and were like, is this the dumbest thing? Is this the most unsafe, unreasonable request of children? We're going to have you play and exert energy and need oxygen and then have a diaper on your face so you can't get enough, because that makes sense, right? But watch out, don't foul each other. What? It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And then reasonable, intelligent, professional men and women, parents of my children's classmates, dutifully sitting there wearing their masks in the stand and glaring at me for not. And you had to pick your battles, didn't you? You had to pick your battles. You needed groceries. And so Trader Joe's was like, stand back here. You can only go in every few minutes. Wear a mask. You needed groceries, you put on the mask, right? But there was that critical time when common sense ought to have kicked in for a lot of people, and it didn't. Like the guy, Brock, you and I remember, the guy in the Jeep, right? Brock and I are going out.
With the top down.
I don't even think he had doors
He
on
didn't.
the Jeep. The doors
He
were off the
didn't.
Jeep. It was wide open. And he was wearing a mask by himself.
Do you remember we just looked at each other and we're like,
Honestly,
are you serious?
It was that moment where I looked at Brock and he looked at me, and this is what it looked like and sounded like. What the hell is going on? Yeah, this was everywhere. Fauci created this stuff. Fear. That's remarkable to me, how much they use fear to try to get us fighting against each other. Try to choose sides, make you decide which camp you're in, and then put your flag in the sand and be like, oh yeah, I'll fight you. Meanwhile, all we're doing is wanting the same stuff. I just wanted my kids to be able to play basketball and get some energy out and have some social interaction and not die on the court because of it, right? And that was like, oh, too much to ask for. It was ridiculous. Never forget what these people did to you. I'll never forget my friend whose mom I've known for years, who thought of my children as her grandchildren because she never got any. I remember her dying and going to the Greek Orthodox Church for the funeral, where I had to sit in my car as whatever was going on was inside. And it was just my friend, her brother, and their mom's casket. I mean, honestly, it was barbaric. It was the antithesis of the stuff that matters. And they took that away. They took that away. I will never forget. I will never forgive. I want you to hear this. Uncovered audio shows Anthony Fauci talking about having every major corporation require the jab, require that emergency use authorized experimental gene scrambler, which they swore to us. No, it's safe and effective. Safe and effective. Things that are safe and effective don't kill 1,223 people in one of the initial trial phases, but the COVID jab did, and they didn't tell you about that. Why not? I wonder. Well, is this unearthed audio listening to Anthony Fauci talking about how, well, we'll put the squeeze on corporations. They'll force people to put aside their ideological bull boop and do what we say. This is Georgia Congressman Rich McCormick with Tony Fauci testifying before Congress. This is what, 2022, 2023, I forget. Testifying before Congress that no, in fact, he did not lie about the origins of COVID. And then Congressman McCormick plays the audio of Fauci saying, look, if you make life hard enough on people, they'll abandon their beliefs and they'll succumb to doing whatever we ask. It is diabolical. Listen.
In an interview that you gave as part of an audiobook written by Michael Spector, that you believed an institutional should make it hard for people to live their lives so they'd feel pressured to get vaccinated. Could we run the audio clip on that, please?
You think can be done about it? I have to say that I don't see a big solution other than some sort of mandatory vaccination. I know federal officials don't like to use that term.
Once people feel empowered and protected legally, you are going to have schools, universities, and colleges are going to say, you want to come to this college, buddy? You're going to get vaccinated. Lady, you're going to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Big corporations like Amazon and Facebook and all of those others are going to say, you want to work for us, you get vaccinated. And it's been proven that when you make it difficult for people in their lives, they lose their ideological bullshit and they get vaccinated.
Crazy. Is it though? Because you're not surprised, are you? That's who he is. That's what this was. In audio soundbite number 2, Congressman McCormick digs into the ideological BS that Fauci was speaking about. Basically, you're a danger to the basic individual liberties we have here in America. And you are a disgrace, doctor. Listen.
Are all objections to COVID vaccinations ideological bullshit, Dr. Fauci?
No, they're not, and that's not what I was referring to.
Well, in reference to making it hard for people to get education, traveling, working, I'd say it very much was in context. And I take great offense to this. Miss Allison Williams testified before this committee about losing her job because she sought an exemption for ESPN's vaccine mandate, which came from recommendations from bureaucrats like yourself. She and her husband were actively working with a fertility expert, a physician, on how to get pregnant, and agreed with the premise that she was young, healthy, wanted to get pregnant, and shouldn't get the vaccination for medical purposes. But she was fired because You made it hard, just like you said in your statement, because you didn't want to make sure that the ideological bullshit got in the way of her working, of living her life, of making a medical decision with her healthcare professional. I think America should take great offense to this. That's exactly what you meant when you said making it hard for people to live without getting a vaccination. You affected people's ability to work, travel, be educated, to actually flourish in American society, to self-determine, as we're all given God-given rights. Shame on you.
Shame on you. Fauci sitting there says nothing, but people behind him. As Congressman McCormick is saying this, look what you did. Look what you deceived the people into doing. Look what you stole from us. And people in the back nodding their heads. Fauci, expressionless, says nothing. And then the total knockout. You have caused so much damage and so much destruction, it will be felt for years.
Dr. Fauci, you've become Dr. Fear. Americans do not hate science. I don't hate science. The American people hate having their freedoms taken from them. You inspired and created fear through mass mandates, school closures, vaccine mandates that have destroyed the American people's trust in our public health institutions. This fear you created will continue to have ripple effects over generations to come. You have already seen its effects in education, in the economy, and everything else. Quite frankly, you said, if you disagree with me, you disagree with science. Dr. Fauci, I disagree with you because I disagree with fear.
100%. Senator Ron Johnson, who has also been dogged. We've heard from him once. I've got two more quick bites, but it's important. The first one, the Wisconsin senator reminds us that David Morin's indictment is just the tip of an iceberg, that all along was about bribery and blackmail and lying to the world.
Everybody has to understand, David Morins was an advisor to Anthony Fauci. And it's pretty obvious to me that Anthony Fauci, Francis Collins, they all were covering up what was obvious to most of us pretty early on, that the coronavirus did not look like something that evolved from nature, but that was man-made. We've got the paper trail of the gain-of-function funding that they provided to Ralph Barrick, at Chapel Hills, and then to Peter Daszak at Eco Health Alliance, transferred to the Wuhan lab. I mean, this was just so obvious. And then when you take a look at the transcripts of the phone call and the tail end of January, early February of 2020, when initially those advisors who very well understood this process thought it was all lab-made, man-made, and then within a couple of days, talking to Anthony Fauci and Francis Collins, they came up with the approximate origin paper that said, oh, there's no way this is man-made. This sprang from nature. Anybody who thinks it's man-made has got to be a conspiracy theorist. Again, to just mislead the public, to lie bold-faced when they knew exactly how this coronavirus was created.
You can almost hear his hands shaking, the senator, as he says this about the disgrace who is Dr. Fauci.
What I'd like to do is completely expose, the kind of person, the very bad kind of person that Anthony Fauci was. I mean, that needs to be exposed. His record in history has to go down as a very dark and black one.
So I don't think you guys, we're not going to get the jail sentences. We're not going to get the splashy, salacious stuff that I'm starving for. I'll take disgrace. I'll take everybody referring to that man as a scumbag. Never again. Never again. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, whatever happened to Eric Swalwell? Right? He disappeared. Ruben Gallego is still trying to run away from him, but it's still not working. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Right? I can't, if I think how I feel just as a mom experiencing it from my kids, Michael called me. He got muscled at Clemson University by some Gestapo broad who was like, you didn't check in for your health visit. And he's like, pal, I have COVID. I'm not checking in. I'm positive. I'm at home. And then if he didn't check in after all of that, he's like, I already had it. I had it. And it's some bean counter moron. He's like, I'm just going to do my job and I'm going to make sure that blah, blah, blah. And it's like, where's your critical thought? Where's your critical thought? Right? And then they threaten you. You'll be expelled. You'll lose your blah, blah, blah. You won't graduate. Ooh. All right, so he's leaving, which is a bummer because I want to talk to you guys about Wendy Loves Gold, Texas Bullion Exchange. You know, some people collect stamps. Some people collect measuring spoons, cookie cutters, whatever you collect. I'd like to be a collector of gold. I'm off to a slow start because it's a little pricey and it's one piece at a time. But I think this is truly one of the more beautiful pieces, and I showed it yesterday. This is the Gold Eagle. It's a 2021 $50 Gold Eagle, which today is worth $5,300. $50 back in the day. Back in the day, whenever that day was. It's just gorgeous, though. This is the one side of it. Let's see if it focuses. This is the Eagle. Come on, baby. Come on. There you go. So there's, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Just exquisite. $50, 1 ounce, fine gold. And the other side, this is how it comes to you. This is how it comes to you from Texas Bullion Exchange. Everything is certified. Everything has a barcode. Everything has one of the hologram jobbies, right? Everything, every coin, every bar, every brick. Because there are bricks. You can get a brick. I have a brick of silver. It's pretty heavy. Everything is certified. Everything comes to you from Texas Bullion Exchange with the guarantee, the principal protection program, which is whatever you spend, you'll never lose money if you need to sell your gold or silver back to Texas Bullion Exchange. That you will never sell it back at a loss. Isn't that nice? 855-927-5557. And certain qualifying portfolios qualify for an extra 6% bonus in silver free of charge. How do you figure out if you get that? 855-927-5557. WendyLovesGold.com. It's just, isn't it beautiful? You could melt this down. I would never, though.
Thank God it's in the case, so when you get pushed down the stairs.
You need a new line, Brock. You need a new way to neutralize me. If you guys have not tried, by the way, the Tulip Soothe Epic Moisture I have here. This is the Tulip Soothe. It's just a wonderful product from Tulip Blooms. And if you have pain or anything, just, I have it usually right behind my head right here.
I get that same pain.
Do you?
9 to 3, yeah.
From noon to 3?
Yeah.
Do you get that when you're in the unemployment line? How does it feel then?
I'm sure.
Does it feel better at that point?
Wow.
That pain? That aching, nagging pain?
That's hurtful.
Truthful.
That is just straight up hurtful.
Look at all these things. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program. I am Wendy, and it's great to be with you. Okay, so this Ruben Gallego guy. Isn't it amazing how much we are seeing? How much is coming out? Whether or not we are upset about the speed with which action is being taken and there are actual consequences and that there's actual justice that we're told exists, but we don't see it ever on the left. We don't see people do things and pay the price and get penalized for it. And it's making me angry every single day. Well, this is the sort of stuff that's important. We don't fundamentally change our government unless we can expose how dirty and corrupt it is. And it's dirty and it's corrupt. And makes you ask yourself, what's the only way to ensure that we fix the sinking ship and ensure it never happens again? Do you wholesale eliminate everybody there and just say clean slate, we're going to just start from scratch? I don't know. I don't know what the process is, but for somebody like Senator Ruben Gallego, who was the chair of Eric Swalwell's 2020 presidential run, remember that? It was like a hot second before they were like, yeah, about that. I don't think so. It's his best friend, self-described best friend, Eric Swalwell, who has now been credibly accused by, 5 women of rape, of drugging them, and then raping them. Well, Ruben Gallego has been trying to run senator from Arizona, and it's still not working, right? I want to read you this. We haven't heard a whole lot about former Democratic Representative Eric Swalwell over the past couple of weeks, presumably because the investigations are continuing into the disturbing allegations of sexual assault, rape that were made against him earlier this month. Obviously, he bowed out of that California governor's race and then resigned from Congress. But is that enough? Well, no, not if you're a victim of his crime. Never, no. Someone else who we haven't heard much from beyond the canned social media posts is Swalwell's ex-bestie, Senator Ruben Gallego of Arizona, whose well-documented bromance was the stuff of legends in Capitol Hill Democrat political circles. At one point, they were roommates in D.C., going on overseas junkets with their wives, including one to Qatar, where they rode camels without their shirts on, whatever. When the story of the sexual harassment allegations first broke, though, right? Gallego's first instinct was to try to cast doubt. And pay attention to the strategy. This is the strategy. What? That doesn't sound like the guy I know. That clearly can't be happening. And then they gauge social media, see what people are saying. There's outrage. Mainstream media picks up on it. All of a sudden, here's Ruben Gallego saying, he was hiding this double life from us. I just didn't know. I, too, am so surprised. And of course, I believe all women. Right? And then after that, when that didn't stick the landing, he went full on, let's call a quick press conference. And he looked like he was on speed. And it was a deer in the headlights look when he was asked if he ever spotted any kind of suspicious behavior. Gallego's stock responses have been to suggest, of course, that Swalwell was living this double life. He had no idea of it beyond some flirting he hadn't heard about much, right? Well, when we last checked, Anna Paulina Luna, the firebrand from Florida, had referred allegations that were sexual in nature against Ruben Gallego himself, and which Luna said possibly had an element of human trafficking to them. What's he doing? Banging people from other countries that are trafficked for this? I don't know. But Anna Paulina Luna has alerted Senate Majority Leader John Thune. There's credible allegations against this guy as well. You better look into it. Gallego has denied any wrongdoing, stating without evidence, of course, through a spokesman, that the allegations are right-wing conspiracy theories being parroted by fringe far-right members of Congress. You know, I don't know about that, Ruben. I don't know about that. I don't think if somebody accuses you of something that you should blame somebody else and accuse somebody else of trying to smear you. I, for one, if I was innocent, would be shocked that I was labeled. And then I would be outraged that somebody would make up a story about me. I wouldn't talk about anything else. I would call a press conference and say, anybody with any information, DNA, audio, visual, implicating me in any kind of crime, let alone a sexual crime, come forward now. I want to know. We want to know. Let's get it out in the public. But Gallego is very much in the shadows. He's hoping all of this blows over and that the public's 24-hour news cycle mentality, which is now probably down to 4 hours, will allow this to just be memory hold into the ash heap of thought. I don't think so, Ruben. And I don't think Anna Paulina Luna is about to walk away from this fight. Much more to come on that, ladies and gentlemen. A lot more to come on that, mark my words. When we come back, hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program, moments away, my friends, and we're going to talk about the United Arab Emirates leaving OPEC. And you're like, wow, that sounds sexy. Oh, it really is. It has huge implications on us, and you're going to want to hear every one next. So this is to Brock's credit. He said this yesterday. He's like, I can't understand why nobody's talking about this UAE leaving OPEC thing. And I even was like, wah, wah, wah. I wasn't really listening to him because I was frustrated about something else. Then he sent it to me again today, and he's like, read this. And I was like, oh. And then he sent me Carl Higbee, his boyfriend. It's okay. You're allowed to have a boyfriend. It's 2026.
That's different. I don't know his heart. Like Ruben Gallego knew.
That was kind of gay.
Eric's.
It was very
kind
gay.
of.
Yeah, it was very gay.
Kind of.
Yeah.
What dude out there?
Yeah, Ruben
has ever said,
you've got to set
I know
it
his
up.
heart.
So apparently when questioned about Eric Swalwell's flirty behavior and, I don't know, drugging people and allegedly raping them, he was like, oh, I know his heart.
What guy's ever said that? What guy would ever look at his friend? Go, I know your heart.
Someone who's having sex with him? I don't know.
Oh, he's just like.
Is everybody having sex except all of us? I don't know. Doesn't it seem like everybody else is having sex? Everybody else is being deviant. Everybody else is in the shadows doing stuff. I'm like, damn, I've got a really boring freaking life. I'm looking at the Amish frame my roof, and I'm like, how you doing? Right?
I know his heart.
Yeah, I know his heart.
What? That's something you would say about your kids. I know their heart's in the right place, but Ruben Gallego saying that about another man? Not buying it, Rube. Were you roommates, like with benefits?
Maybe he got roofied.
Maybe he was in the Senate on Amy Klobuchar's desk.
Do you think he woke up feeling a little different the next morning?
It was fine. He knew his heart.
Blood Flow 7 by Juvenon. All right, you hear me talk about it, and I sit here and I'm like, look, if you do nothing else today but buy this and start taking it immediately, you're going to be better off, which I do. I say that all the time. But I'm going to read you what they say about why Blood Flow 7 is so important. Feeling tired, sluggish, maybe a little foggy could be your blood flow. I know, right? Blood Flow 7 by Juvenon is scientifically designed to support healthy circulation. So you feel energized, you feel clear-headed and vibrant again. I will say 100%. Yeah, but that's not what did it for me. Packed with natural ingredients like nitrosigine, S7, and transveretrol, Blood Flow 7 works by boosting nitric oxide levels. This is a molecule that relaxes blood vessels and helps your blood flow freely to every corner of your body. That means more oxygen and more nutrients to your brain, to your heart, to your muscles, and even places that might need a little extra help as you age. All right, they're being so coy. With just one dose a day, you can reclaim your stamina. This 100%. Reclaim your stamina, support heart health, improve overall vitality, all without caffeine or stimulants. Try it. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. And if you're a guy and you obviously need to be concerned about your testosterone levels, low testosterone is accompanying so many different problems that men have. Beyond weight. Alpha Gold Male is the same stuff, but it's for you because it has to deal with testosterone. Okay. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. If you do something that you did in your past that now you're like, I just don't have the energy anymore. It's like, that hill is so high or it's so, I can't do it. Try it after you take this for a week and get back to me. WendyBellRadio@gmail.com. 30% off. 30% off. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy.
2.3.
Well,
if you have not rumbled,
we'll not make it, but that's okay. I don't mean to be negative, but I am a realist. All right, I want to see what you guys are talking about out there. Pants on fire. I do admit that was a really stupendous thumbnail. Are you enjoying AI, Brock?
It's nice because it doesn't take time away from preparing for the show. You know, like I just type in what I want, and usually it takes 3 or 4 prompts to me get exactly what I want. But like as soon as I type it in, I hit return and I'm back to like editing and in a couple minutes I'll go back. It's there. So, okay, we'll change this.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I could never do something like it did today. I don't have the skills to do that.
Carl is 4 minutes.
Hmm?
How long is Carl?
Carl is 3:16.
Oh, there he is. Okay, 3:16. So, okay.
So I brought this up yesterday, and I read the breaking news.
I talked through Anna Polina. I'm sorry.
That's all right. And I was flabbergasted that nobody was talking about it, you know. So it's 6:00. I'm like, oh, I wonder what Carl's talking about today. And he's like, I can't believe nobody's talking about this. I'm like, Mom.
Yeah. He has a great
Carl and I were on the same.
Yeah. He has a great way of delivering information. It's
That's what we were talking about.
I very much enjoy his style. I think Newsmax has quite a few good people on.
A lot of this stuff is so hard. Like when you read the newspaper and you read these people that John Solomon, great reporter. Great reporter. Love him.
Terrible stuff to try to report because it's long form. It's super
And he goes back and forth. Like you really have to read it.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
And Carl is able to sum it up. And so is like, I do like their
Finnerty,
Carl Finnerty and Schmidt.
Rob Schmidt's good.
I like the three of those
Yeah.
guys.
I'm not a huge what's his face guy, the guy at night, late at night, or whatever his name is. What's his
Greg
name?
Kelly.
Yeah.
Those are the three guys. If I'm gonna watch,
He's fine. I don't have anything against him, but if I had to choose, he wouldn't be in my top three.
but
Those three.
he sums it up very nice and puts it to where you can understand.
Though
it.
I've called each of them individually a boyfriend and got no response. It was very.
You didn't call Carl a boyfriend.
I sure did.
Did you?
I think so.
That's my boy. You can't do that.
Oh, you're claiming Carl now. We're being a little Gallego-y.
I don't know his heart. I'd drink a beer.
Anything sore?
What's that? What'd you say?
Nothing.
No, say it.
Nothing.
Say it.
No.
Say it.
No.
Say it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it
Do it live.
3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family. She once hosted a 3-hour show in just 15 minutes. She once intimidated the Electoral College to audit itself. Her monologues are so sharp, they're considered a concealed carry weapon. Fact-checker sites routinely issue her a retraction a week in advance. Even her commercial breaks trend on social media. Her freedom of speech has diplomatic immunity. She doesn't just drain the swamp has to ask for cab fare. Wendy Bell is the most interesting conservative woman on radio. Keep rumbling, my friends. 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live. You know, it might not be the sexiest thing to talk about, or it might just be the hottest damn thing you hear all day long, right? This president of ours and what he is doing in Iran, what he is doing with this blockade in the Hormuz Strait, what he's doing dealing with the world's oil supply is having, and by the way, the relationships he forged in the opening months of his second term, remember when he flew all across the Middle East and they granted him with pomp and circumstance and camels and dates and palm fronds and all of that? Yeah, what he was doing was forming some very important alliances that would ultimately squeeze out Iran. But what he was also doing was seeing months in advance the ultimate squeeze of the oil cartel. the dismantling of OPEC, the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. Now, do you guys remember back in 1973? I was 3 years old. I don't remember, but I remember being a little girl in my dad's VW Bug. It was cherry red, and it was his day to fill up. Remember how they did that? Remember waiting in line? Long freaking lines. People turned off their cars because they didn't want to use up their gas. You went on certain days because of it. Well, in 1973, OPEC cut the world's oil supply and imposed an embargo on countries that supported Israel during the Yom Kippur War. The Yom Kippur War. OPEC's cuts began at about 5% a month and then later got worse. And that contributed to the oil crisis. So this is just like a cartel just of oil producing countries putting the squeeze on everybody else because they didn't like what some countries were doing and with whom they were doing business and supporting. That oil embargo helped trigger U.S. stagflation. Oil prices went up, fuel became scarce, inflation cranked up, and economic growth totally stalled. And the U.S. saw those gas shortages, right? Higher consumer prices and production disruptions as the price of oil roughly quadrupled back in the 70s worldwide. Well, I want to tell you about the United Arab Emirates because they just quit OPEC. They were like, you know what? We're going to done being a part of you. We don't need you to tell us what to do. We have our own ability to produce more oil than we already are. Billions of barrels, millions of barrels worth, right? Every week. We can do without you, which means the UAE now is no longer following OPEC's production quotas or their collective oil policy decisions, so the country can pump and export oil more freely. Like in practical terms, the UAE is now free to do what? Drill, baby, drill. And this is exactly what's going on, putting the squeeze on Iran, which wants to do what? Stall, drag out these negotiations with America and Israel with no intent of signing anything, of course, but draw it out long enough to rearm, right? So they can continue fighting this president and this war. Well, this is, though, very exciting. And I want to read you a little bit from this Breitbart article before we dial in Carl Higbie, who last night did 4 minutes on the topic, which is absolutely stellar. So the United Arab Emirates announcing this week that it would leave OPEC effective May 1st is the hardest blow the oil cartel has ever absorbed. The UAE has been part of the cartel since 1967 and is OPEC's third biggest producer, one of only 2 members with meaningful spare capacity. And its departure removes 13% of OPEC's production capacity. No top-tier producer has ever walked out before. Now, many Americans might have missed the significance of the UAE exit because it hardly registered in financial markets. But crude kind of barely flinched, which is understandable because the Strait of Hormuz disruption is pretty dominant right now, right? But the immediate implications of the UAE's move is clear enough. They have 4.8 million barrels a day of production capacity, but they were capped by OPEC at roughly 3.4 million barrels. And now, as Carl Higbie from Newsmax very beautifully explains, it's not just Iran feeling the squeeze. It's China. Listen.
With OPEC breaking apart, and no doubt this is because some behind-the-scenes talks from the Trump administration, there's no more drilling quotas. Countries can and will pump as much oil as they can to get as much money as they can. You see, the UAE, under OPEC, was only, due to joint agreements and things like that within the organization, was only producing a little over 3 million barrels a day. But they have the capacity to produce 5 million, which they're going to start doing now that they're not constrained by OPEC, which is almost entirely offsetting the Iranian production. They only were producing 3 million barrels total a day. This is why Iran was targeting the UAE with so many strikes and drones during the kickoff of Trump's bombing campaign, because Trump was immediately in touch with the UAE about picking up the oil exports that Iran would not be able to fulfill when the blockade went into place. No, yeah, but the libs said Trump doesn't have a plan. It's actually remarkable. Here's the awesome part. Because the UAE is now ramping up production to compete with them, so will Saudi Arabia, who they've already said they would, who's right now only producing 7.5 million barrels per day, but they have the capacity to produce over 12 million a day. Look, if just those two countries start maxing out their production, which they can do by the end of this year, Iran's oil market is completely irrelevant because the region is now producing more than 3 million more barrels than when Iran was in the game 2 months ago. And here's the best part. All of this oil can be exported from those two countries without the use of the Strait of Hormuz. Here, look, you can see it. The UAE can load outside the strait. Saudi can export to their west coast to the Red Sea or to the south or north or the Suez Canal into the Mediterranean to export to Europe. And Trump can maintain the blockade and literally starve Iran indefinitely. And why is that a good thing other than we don't like them? We also don't like China. And they don't have enough oil to run their country right now, which means they certainly don't have the resources to, I don't know, wage a war against Taiwan, to take their semiconductors away from us or undercut us on production now because it costs them basically $20 a gallon for fuel in China today, which is why China's real estate market has essentially wiped out all of its gains from the last 20. Can you imagine buying a house 20 years ago and it's worth less today than it was then? That's China. So just real quick to recap what Trump just did, America is now the global leader in oil exports. More countries are buying their oil on the dollar. Iran can't export almost any oil through our blockade, a little bit over land, maybe. China's not getting 50% of its previous oil. The biggest oil cartel that manipulated prices has been broken up. And because of this little 45-day hiccup in supply, half of America's domestic political opposition to drilling has now flipped over to the support side because they realize we need it. And, oh, by the way, there's also new massive political support for the new oil refinery that Trump announced months ago that he was criticized for, but now everybody knows we need.
Drill, baby, drill, is what the president has said from the beginning. Energy independence. You've got everything you need under your feet. And so do so many other countries. So restructuring the global trading system. The president who had no plan, he has no idea what he's doing. This is a reckless war. Those poor innocent Iranian people. He said he was going to obliterate their whole civilization. The man is a monster. No, he's a businessman and he gets how the game is played. And he's not part of a grift. He's not beholden to some higher power. There's nobody with the blackmail goods to squeeze him, to force him to do this or that. And now all of his early plays last year, the travel, the camaraderie, the board of peace, getting people from all of these countries to stand behind you, countries that were once considered our adversaries, having them join behind the president of the United States in a unifying form of peace. Do you think China had any clue what was coming? Do you think Iran is going to survive much longer, losing $500 million a day because it can't get its oil out? You've got a major humanitarian crisis, obviously, now in Iran. And who's going to be asked to go and fix it? Of course, it will be President Trump. Drill, baby, drill. Where are all those environmentalist wackos now? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, my friends, when discovering the truth puts your life in danger, Houston, you got a problem. I got to tap you guys into what Congressman Tim Burchett said yesterday. And yes, it is about the aliens. Next.
How about the stress that's going to put on NATO?
Oh, my gosh. What do you think King Charles was talking to Trump about? Don't hate Keir Starmer too much. he's gone rogue. We don't support him. Well, I don't know. Let's see. Oh, wow. All right, so this is interesting. I want to talk to you guys about Native Path collagen peptides. Get nativepath.com/Wendy. If you wake up stiff and you feel like your body is kind of working against you, you're eating well and you're trying to lose weight and the scale is not moving at all, I need you to think about this. There is one nutritional gap that ties all of these symptoms together, and most doctors never bring it up. Right? We've been talking about this on this program for several months now. After 30, your body loses collagen every single year. And collagen is the protein that keeps your metabolism running, your hunger in check, your joints cushioned, and your skin firm, taut the way you want it. Most collagen supplements are loaded with fillers and ingredients you can't even pronounce. GetNativePath.com/Wendy is one ingredient. It's just one. It is grass-fed collagen peptides, nothing else. It's no fillers, third-party tested though for purity. One scoop in your morning coffee and you're done. Thousands of customers report less joint pain, better skin, and real weight management support. You can try it risk-free for 365 days, risk-free. Try it. Use the whole bottle. Say, me, I don't like it. And they'll give you your money back. They're giving you up to 45% off just to get it, to try it. GetNativePath.com/Wendy. I love it. I think what it does is important. And I was honest with you guys when I said I'm doing this every single day. And I'm going to do it every single day. Forever. Right? I'm gonna fight as much as I can.
U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn has proposed a 9 Republican, 0 Democrat redistricting map for Tennessee to redraw, thanks to the Supreme Court ruling against racial gerrymandering under the VRA.
The implications of just how many conservatives live in the South, and then how they tried to carve out these districts of, Black neighborhoods with Black representatives. No, said the Supreme Court. So that's over. We'll see what ends up happening. I don't know. It could be this decision. I don't mean to be like excited about it, but it's exciting. It could really be a blow for the Democratic Party, like a perma blow. Jim Clyburn losing his spot.
James Comey is officially under arrest for CNN.
Okay. Wow. There's so much going on, you guys.
I think all these indictments and the DOJ moving as fast as they are, this is why that hit piece came out on Cash Patel last week.
About his drinking.
Yeah. Imparting
it's a very imparting with USA Hockey. That was their aha moment. We got him. We got him.
Alcoholic.
And let's hear all of the unidentified anonymous sources who wouldn't go on the record because they were fictitious. And so is journalism these days. Sad.
No, Brian Stelter is still out there.
He knows what he's talking about.
He's a pillar of him and Don Lemon, pillars of the journalistic community.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. I'm going to put my Reynolds wrap on a little tight right now. My tinfoil hat. And I was thinking about this when we were playing Congressman McCormick's audio earlier in the program, Rich McCormick's audio from several years ago, questioning Tony Fauci about some of the disgusting things he was saying, where if we put the squeeze to Google and to Facebook and to Twitter, these big companies that have a lot of employees, and we force their employees to get vaccinated, you'll break the ideological BS of people in a heartbeat. Cost between your job and your freedom to decide for yourself what injectables you want plunged into your skin. right? That's how disgusting that was. I was wondering, as he was saying, it's a fear thing. You didn't promote anything but fear, Fauci. This is what you did. Fear, remember, fear is what motivates so many people. I wonder if this alien stuff, if these missing or dead scientists and researchers, I wonder about the real story about this. Or are they setting us up for an alien invasion where we're all going to have a war of the worlds, right, in real time in 2026? Are we going to watch all of the lunatics out there who went nutty over COVID freak out over this? I don't know. But would you put anything past anybody desperate to cheat in order to win in the elections? I wouldn't. I want you to hear Representative Tim Burchett from Tennessee. He's on with Rob Finnerty on Newsmax last night. And they're talking about the mysterious death of this 29-year-old NASA nuclear engineer named Josh LeBlanc. It was a very odd situation because it involved his car, which happened to be a Tesla. And the Tesla was sitting at the airport in Huntsville, Alabama, right? Where the NASA project was, where this guy was working. And then all of a sudden, his Tesla drove for a couple hours and ultimately off the road and crashed into trees and burnt into a crisp. And Rob Finnerty is asking Congressman Burchett, who's on this UFO top government secrets committee, about that. Listen.
This scientist died because his Tesla drove 2 hours. This is from the police report. 2 hours on its own, crashed and then burst into flames. If that was true, nobody would ever buy a Tesla again, Congressman. What do you think happened here?
I think clearly someone's sending a message of one or two things. Either they want to squash our technology or they're warning others not to come forward with our abilities and what they know. It can't be anything else. It's very clear to me. I know that the FBI is investigating this, and I hope they do it very vigorously. In the past, the FBI, I think, has been part of the problem of covering it up, but under Cash Patel and President Trump, I don't think that's the case. So that's what I hope we get to the bottom of it. But unfortunately, we've lost these lives, and you know, it's the one general leaves his house without his wallet and his cell phone, but he takes his 38 revolver and his holster.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, does it? Now, I don't know what's going on. I can't tell you. But it all feels and smells fishy, doesn't it? I don't know who's behind it. I don't know if it's a foreign actor. I don't know what it is. But people are disappearing, and those people seem to be connected to a lot of the same research. At which point, Rob Finnerty asks the congressman from Tennessee, sir, you know, you said before you're not suicidal, but are you afraid? What do you feel about your own safety and security amid these deaths and disappearances?
Can I ask you something, Congressman? In that same interview, you told me, and it was tongue-in-cheek, but I think you were serious. You said you're not suicidal. Did you mean that? Are you concerned about your own safety for even talking about this stuff?
Sure. I think about it all the time. I think about when I'm in a parking lot by myself. I think about when I'm driving down the road. I think about when I'm getting on an airplane. There's a lot at stake, and we're poking the hornet's nest. I was told years ago that I need to get a detail around me because I'd kicked a very big hornet's nest, and by someone who's formerly was on President Trump's staff. So yeah, I think about it. I'd be stupid not to. I mean, look at now, you're just saying it, and I got a feeling this is the tip of the iceberg.
I got a feeling that this is the tip of the iceberg. Again, I don't know, but I think there's plenty for us to talk about, don't you? By the way, before we go to this commercial break, before we come into our last few segments here, former FBI Director James Comey has now surrendered to law enforcement before his first appearance in federal court in the Eastern District of Virginia, charged with making a threat against President Donald Trump by photographing seashells on a North Carolina beach. He was allowed to leave court with no conditions of release after a brief hearing that lasted less than 10 minutes. I don't see why they'd be necessary this time, Judge William Fitzpatrick said, noting that there were no conditions set when the Justice Department first attempted to bring a case against Comey last year. So what's going to happen with that? I don't know. Slowly moving forward, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, it sure sounds like a California cover-up. Why doesn't anybody want us talking about Karen Bass's call that was leaked about the Palisades fire in advance? Next. Hard to know. Hard to know why that would be. Kelly Morgan, More Gains Fitness, moregainsfitness.com. Just going to say, wonderful woman, wonderful program. What a great offering, right? If you're like, I don't know how, I've never exercised, I never lifted weights, I don't really do lunges, I'm not a big squats girl. I don't even know what I would need in order to start exercising at home. That's where you get in touch with Kelly Morgan at More Gains Fitness. MORGAINZ fitness.com, moregainsfitness.com. She says her 90 Ignite program that you can do online with her virtually, totally. In 90 days, she has seen people lose 15 pounds of fat. That's crazy. 15 pounds and several pounds of it being fat, I should say. They've lost inches. They've lost dress sizes, pant sizes, belt loops. And that's how it works. If you can commit to 3 months of doing what she says, she will commit to standing by your side until you emerge a figment of your former self. How about we say that? moregainsfitness.com. That's how you get there. She's great. You're going to love her. And it's great wherever you live. Access to you, which is important. Let's see.
247. Let's go.
Ryan is upset. Got a 78 on his Orgo exam.
What?
His organic chemistry exam. He says it's better than he thought, 10 points higher than the average, but still not good enough. So time for me to have no life for these next 9 days approaching the final. Been there, done that, baby.
Did he say 10 points higher than the average?
Mm-hmm. But it's.
Do they grade on a?
I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do, but I know that getting into dental school is an extraordinarily competitive feat.
I know a friend who took OChem. He wasn't 10 points higher than the average.
There's a reason I became a journalist.
Yeah, right.
There is no organic chemistry in journalism. Let's see. I haven't talked to you guys. I want to know what's going on. What are you talking about? Let me see where you are. 2.47. Good job, you guys. That is fantastic. And I'm very pleased. Thank you for that. I don't mean to not feel or sound appreciative.
You gotta hear what she says after the show. When you guys don't hit 2.7.
See, MN Moxie says Carl's one of my new boyfriends.
You can have him as a boyfriend.
Good content today. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate that.
We would have beers together. And
now you want to give him one of our
Second Amendment
commemorative gifts.
I do. I think Carl would appreciate that. I could see him with the bourbon glasses.
Oh, so Tim Gloria says, I'm so glad you're playing Carl again. When I heard this last night, I thought to myself that I needed Wendy to talk about this. I was making dinner, so I didn't hear it at all. I love the connection between all of this stuff. President Trump is light years ahead of everybody else.
Yeah.
He's months in advance. He's known all of this stuff. He's been putting the squeeze on certain people. And the ultimate prize is China. It's absolutely crippling China, because then China's going to have a conversation with Trump about tariffs. And it's about the farmland and about the freaking intellectual secrets. And it's about all the other shit. And by the way, we want to know all about COVID. I want to know who knew what, when, what they got paid, what the cover up was, what your role was. So if you'd like to have a chat.
People talk about gas prices. And And I know here in Western Pennsylvania, it's like 437.
Mm-hmm.
This is my tinfoil, and I don't know if it's necessary tinfoil. You're going to watch gas prices when they start overproducing. Can you imagine if we get down to $50 a barrel, $60 a barrel? You're looking mid to 250 to 260, 270. And then I think you're going to see Trump and Besant go after these gas stations in states and be like, no, you're gouging. I mean, just here in Western Pennsylvania or Pennsylvania in general, it's 60 cents for every gallon of gas. For what? So I can drive to Gettysburg and it costs me $40. Meanwhile, I'm watching commercials, Spirit Airlines, $60 one way. I'm thinking, I ought to fly to Gettysburg and get there in 30 minutes and be $20 more. I think you're going to see, maybe not by election time, but you're going to see gas prices plummet. And you have to remember, they're going to get this stuff online a lot faster than we would here. Saudi Arabia and UAE aren't worried about regulations. Oh, we can't put this pipeline. Some rare.
So you're going to ditch OPEC. Who's going to ditch NATO? I think that's what Charles was talking to Trump about. Because Europe can't survive if the United States isn't a part of it.
No, Joe blew up the pipeline.
Right.
The Russian pipeline. Very interesting. Carl and I are on the same page, though. Nice.
That's what boyfriends do. They know. You know, one of the subjects when I was working for Newsmax that they didn't allow me to pursue was about Hitachi and Hitachi's role in developments that would lead to 15-minute cities, that would lead to areas being redeveloped to pack you and me in like sheep, right? Anybody out there feel super uneasy about the Lahaina fires? I did. All of it. All of it made me uncomfortable. None of it made sense unless you were trying to kill people, unless you were trying to incinerate a chunk of extraordinarily valuable land and burn the generations of people who've lived there in order to redevelop it in a certain way that benefits you. And Hitachi's name came up in a bunch of these things. And so I was digging into that. They kiboshed me so fast. They're like, yeah, we're really not interested in that. I'm like, oh, really? And then Palisades blew through. It's not far from where my sister lives. It's not far from where I grew up. And I know a thing or two about wind. See, in Southern California, we didn't do active shooter drills. We did fire drills and we did earthquake drills. And when you live in an arid climate and the dearth of rain flow, right, leaves everything brown, all it takes is a cigarette butt and high winds to absolutely do what happened to the Pacific Palisades. 12,000 homes, people killed. People still not getting permits to develop. People still not allowed back on their property. It made us feel very uncomfortable, and we should all feel very uncomfortable President Trump was there in a heartbeat. And Karen Bass, the LA mayor, oh yeah, we're going to get on this right away. Trump's like, look, we're going to cut all red tape, all regulations, all garbage. We got to clean this stuff up, get the hazardous stuff out, get people back to build. Obviously, that's not what the plan is in the Palisades. Whatever Karen Bass has been promised with whatever development project they want to create, which is essentially what's going on. We're going to steal high value real estate from the people who rightfully own it. And we're going to burn them out. And then we're going to stonewall them, and we're going to slow walk them, and we're going to make it literally impossible for them to get back. The legal wranglings will be impossible too. I believe that. Can I prove that? Probably not. Not right now, not where I am. But do I believe that? 100%. 100%. Lahaina wasn't an accident. And the Palisades wasn't an accident. There was a leaked phone call that we played for you yesterday that now the reporters at Fox 11 in Los Angeles, reporters, anchors, producers, nobody is allowed to talk about it. It's a full embargo. You want to 86 something, they 86 this story. On this audio recording is a gentleman named John Alley. John is a prominent business owner, owns multiple properties, multiple businesses, somebody who would be in the ear of the mayor, or at least the mayor's office. And he said she called him, Mayor Bass called him, right? As she was heading out of town to go to Ghana, because apparently she was invited by the president of Ghana to go to Ghana, or Biden took her or whatever. And so she was packing up and going. And he's like, look, lady, did you see the forecast? The forecast is for horrendous winds. It is in this sort of environment that our community is most at risk. And she told him, hey, stop. I can't tell you why. I'm leaving, though. And I need you to read between the lines here. But when I come back, it'll all make sense. Well, when she came back, the fire had already happened and had burned all these homes and killed all of these people. I want you to hear Matthew Seedorf from Fox 11 before this edict apparently went out, no more coverage. He sat down with John Alley, this guy who Karen Bass called, and he describes the conversation from the horse's mouth. Listen.
This is a recorded phone call viewed millions of times this last year, now gaining more views today with John Alley coming forward disagreeing with the mayor over what this whole thing was about. Sharp disagreements over a recorded phone call involving LA Mayor Karen Bass just 3 days before the Palisades fire.
I knew I couldn't write that fast, so I recorded part of it for my own safety and for posterity. I had to do it.
I want to make sure that you are safe, and hopefully you can read in between the lines.
For the first time, John Alley is publicly identifying himself as the man who recorded that controversial call.
If President Biden extends me an invitation, I took it.
It's the president.
This is not yes.
Now coming forward weeks before the primary election. Why is this coming out now?
I think people need to know. They're still asking me why the call. What was my relationship with her?
As a business owner with dozens of properties across LA, Alley says he and the mayor used to talk regularly.
I have a good sense of what's going on the streets, and she relied on me for that.
He says he recorded about 90 seconds of this conversation.
In terms of my trip, just so you know, I'm missing 2 work days.
3 days before the Palisades fire.
She called me and told me she was boarding the tarmac.
What was it about this phone call that made you want to start recording?
Her tone.
When I am able to talk, I will be happy to go into great detail.
According to the mayor's team, the phone call wasn't about fire danger, but about law enforcement operations at MacArthur Park, saying the call was keeping constituents updated about important city matters. She's saying that this whole phone call was about law enforcement operations at MacArthur Park.
It was about wind. I warned her of the winds.
The mayor's staff calling that claim misinformation and a conspiracy, adding exploiting people's loss in the Palisades is disgusting and it's a distraction from the recovery and rebuilding.
It was. Fire and wind was part of the conversation. There's no conspiracy. I lost as much as anybody in terms of property and life.
The two very much clearly in disagreement, as well as many people online. Reporting the Palisades, Matthew Seedorf, Fox 11 News.
Without knowing anything about Karen Bass or this guy, John Alley, whom do you believe more? You believe the machine around her? Or do you believe the guy who was trying to alert her? Why are you going out of town? You need to call a press conference. You need to get out in front of this wind. You guys, the winds in my part of California, the Santa Ana winds in the San Fernando Valley. I mean, it's a danger when you live in such a dry area, and it's part of the local weather forecast. All right. Just like we would have snow forecasts here in Pennsylvania. In California, they do a high wind forecasts. It's a fact. He wanted her to know you shouldn't be going anywhere. You need to get out in front of this. And she's like, look, the president asked me to go on this. So I'm going to go read between the lines. When I get back, it'll all make sense. Crematorium style inferno. And then what? Well, James O'Keefe, citizen journalist who's now of the Citizen Journalist Foundation. That's his new outfit, apparently. He says after that Matthew Seedorf article that we just talked about, we just played, Fox LA staffers are now forbidden to talk about that phone call with Karen Bass, to talk about any of it. Isn't that interesting?
Breaking news, text messages from within Fox 11 News in Los Angeles reveal that reporters are being told not to cover the secret recording of the Mayor Bass phone call released on Friday. In the phone call from January 4th, just 3 days before the fires, Mayor Bass preemptively defends her Ghana trip.
And just in terms of my trip, just so you know, I'm missing 2 work days. That's it.
She also sends a very cryptic message to read between the lines, whatever that means.
And hopefully you can read in between the lines. But I would just appreciate and it's hard for me to tell you this, but hold tight. You will understand soon.
Now, in these text messages provided to Citizen Journalism Foundation within Fox 11, they read, quote, I know the company's Fox's lawyers have had some concerns about this one and have asked us to pause. I wish it was up to me. It's an interesting tape, and I'd like to know what she's referring to. We also asked if Fox 11 can at least cover this on social media. They were informed they were barred from posting the story on social media as well. Yeah, it's both for now. We'll work to get clearance on both. Now, this recording of Mayor Karen Bass has received 6 million views on X, and residents are demanding answers about what she meant by what she was saying in this recording. Of course, this is one of the problems with access journalism, where corporate media outlets are afraid to be too adversarial for biting the hand that feeds them. Fox 11 coming off a big interview with Mayor Karen Bass recently, and maybe she's not too happy about it, but this is why we need citizen journalism, why we can't rely upon the corporate press or the legacy media to do the job, where we have to do what is right, and only what is newsworthy is the biggest consideration. Of course, sometimes what's lost in corporate media and legacy media is any semblance of right and wrong.
Karen Bass, hold tight. You will understand soon. What? And then why all of a sudden would a TV station totally sack the story? Well, you know as well as I. Karen Bass flexed her muscles on that one. And there's an owner somewhere who was like, I get it, Mayor. I get it. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. She fancies herself, as she's running for re-election, as untouchable, as unaccountable. She's not responsible for anything. And the one place you are safe when you're a dirtbag politician is in your office. That's why she needs to run again. Is LA really going to reelect this woman? Probably. Yeah, probably. You cannot tell me that the fire and the handling of it, the hydrants that didn't work, the reservoirs that weren't filled, the water that was piped off and dumped into the Pacific Ocean to save some stupid fish that exists elsewhere. Don't tell me that wasn't planned. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, the FCC threatens ABC stations that carry Jimmy Kimmel. And I think that is an absolutely horrible idea. I'll explain why next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. So Karen Bass, no accountability, but by golly, you should reelect her. This is why I put on Tulip Soothe. Just got to take away a little bit of the burn, a little bit of the ache.
Better than Calgon.
A little bit of the ache.
She just sounds creepy.
Meanwhile, my liberal family members probably are like, what? And I'm like,
Just wait.
Yes. Hold tight.
Hold tight.
Brock.
Read between the lines.
Brock, hold tight.
She knows my heart.
You will understand soon. Right? But if you don't like her, you're a racist because it's probably because she's black. Right. Right. That had nothing to do with my ire for that woman. Dirtbag.
I think what Trump did, for an analogy, was he saw a thread and he started pulling the thread. And what happens when you start pulling the thread?
The tapestry begins to unwind.
Yep. You've played with so. This is one of the reasons I like today's show, is because you watch the Fauci pull of the thread, you watch the Comey pull of the thread, you watch the Karen Bass, all
The
these
UFO
things.
stuff.
Yeah, you're pulling a thread, and all these people messed with your lives, messed with the American people's lives. And for those who are starting to wake up, they're getting a lot of information at one time. And I think even those that don't want to admit it are going to have to admit that their government lies to them about everything. And they're going to get to the point where they're not going to believe anything, where we've all been for years.
Which is why we voted the way we did. Which is why when they wouldn't allow us. My vote is as important as Hakeem Jeffries or Nancy Pelosi's. It is as important. They don't get to negate my vote. They don't get to execute the man I chose and then put in their own puppet government. You don't get to do that. Thankfully, unlike Iran, we have guns. We have weapons. And so the government knows there are 600 million guns or what have you in the United States. For a small contingent of people to try to take over the government.
I think this Voting Rights Act being that's just, I think that's why they were hurrying up and gerrymandering. And now you're going to see every red state. You're not going to see it in Pennsylvania. You're not going to see it in Illinois, New York, but you're going to start seeing every state start doing it. That one court decision could literally put a nail in the coffin
Of the Democratic Party. 100%. That's what I was trying to say before. I'm like, this could be the end of the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be like, ooh, she's
Hyperbolic.
she's so, I've never used that word. I don't even know what that word means.
What's that?
Hyperbolic. That's a word that Brock likes a lot. Hyperbolic.
Wow.
Just saying. His boyfriend, Carl, probably uses it together. It was just a hot second ago. The Kash Patel's a drunk. He's hammered. He's staggering. He doesn't show up. He's AWOL. Oh my God. This was some anonymous BS garbage story sourced by people close to the administration who talked on condition of anonymity. This is why the smear tactics are so despicable but so obvious. They were going after Kash Patel, who was celebrating with USA men's hockey in the locker room, jumping around, and they were throwing champagne everywhere, and they're drinking beer, and they're like, aha! We can make him sound like a drunk. Let's go. And then the machine started working. Let's smear Kash Patel. Because why? Because Fauci's being exposed. Because Comey's being exposed. Because these doctors are coming out. Because the stuff about the fires is going to come out. Because the stuff about COVID is going to come out. Because all of it has to come out. Knives out when you're the messenger and when you're the investigator. It all makes sense when you look at it through that lens. And we're getting much faster at being able to do that, aren't we? We're getting better at being able to look at a campaign and see everybody in the news doing the same thing, saying the same stuff. And you're like, oh, that's curious. And then you go up to 30,000 feet and you look down at everybody and you're like, I wonder why they're out for this so-and-so, this person here. And then it all starts to drip out and you're like, oh, that's why. Now, look, this whole FCC thing getting in the way of Disney stations and yada, yada, that carry Jimmy Kimmel and yada. I have a view on this, but I want to read you this story. It's from News Nation, just so we're all on the same page. FCC preparing review of Disney's TV licenses. This is a report. The Federal Communications Commission is moving forward to a review of Disney's 8 broadcast licenses for its ABC stations, according to sources familiar with the matter. Reports of the FCC's review come after a joke made by comedian Jimmy Kimmel on an episode of his show Jimmy Kimmel Live on Thursday of last week as he parodied the White House Correspondents' Dinner ahead of the event. You know what happened. The FCC will be moving forward with an early license review, though Disney's licenses are due for renewal for several years. They're not for renewal for several years. Some are calling it retaliation for keeping Kimmel on the air. This is unprecedented. This is unlawful and going nowhere. This political stunt won't stick. FCC Commissioner Ana Gomez, the lone Democrat on the board, wrote on X. Companies should challenge it head on. The First Amendment is on their side. FCC Chair Brendan Carr has previously threatened Disney's licenses over its DEI practices, blah, blah, blah. Look. This is bad timing. It's a bad look. It's the wrong move. It's the wrong call. Brendan Carr's the wrong guy. The FCC's the wrong organization. Let the court of public opinion decide whether Jimmy Kimmel sinks or swims. Let the public decide whether they want to go to Disney's theme parks, if they want to watch their stations. Let the people choose. Jimmy Kimmel can say what Jimmy Kimmel wants to say. We are allowed that. We are protected by the First Amendment. And that gives Jimmy Kimmel the right to offend you, to lie to you, to deceive you, to incite people, because that's his right. But you have a right to not tune in. This isn't something that we need the FCC to go in and try to Bigfoot, strong arm, or meddle in. If there are actual licenses that come up for review and there are things that they've done that have violated whatever rules, fine. This is a bad look. It's bad optics. And I hate to agree with the lone Democrat on the FCC. This shouldn't happen. Look, freedom of speech could be dangerous. Yes, it could cost you your job. And yes, usually businesses that can fire you over what you say are protected because they have the right to do that in certain areas. I can tell you, I've been fired. They're right to fire me. But we have rights. And our rights are very, very simple here. You have the ability to pay attention to what Jimmy Kimmel says or not. You have the ability to never watch again. And in my mind, that is the best way to make change. I'm not going to come to your theme park. I'm not going to watch your streaming services. I'm not going to shop in your stores. I won't wear your brand. And I'm sure as hell not going to watch your lackluster, hack, left-wing jerk of a comedian. He can say what he wants. That's on him. I don't have to watch. That doesn't seem complicated. Thank you for being a part of the Wendy Bell radio program today, you guys. I hope you come on back tomorrow, okay? And I say it, but I mean it. I love you. Peace.